What is best in life? To crush your enemies, see them driven before you, and to hear the lamentation of their women.
All right. All right. What is it? Wednesday night. Why is it Wednesday night? Because I couldn't do the stream last night because I've been sick. So that's a shame. I know it's a real bummer, but we're doing it Wednesday night instead. It's a Radio Baloney Live Wednesday stream. I'm your host, Richie Baloney. How's everybody doing out there? Good to see you guys. We got Nevada, Dramus, Spambot already in the chat. Good to see you. All right. Now, I have to say that for some reason, X didn't connect. So there's no X stream tonight for some reason. So, when it rains, it pours. But I can't figure it out. So we're just going to go ahead without X tonight. But we are on Rumble, YouTube, and Locals. So we're all good there, all clear. All right. So, folks, let's go through the menu, what we're going to talk about tonight. Then we'll come back to the chat. Then we'll dig into the stories in detail. First, we're going to talk about Iran. We got lots to talk about Iran. We've got some different perspectives. We've got some memes. We've got all kinds of stuff. We've got New York, which is just becoming more and more of a madhouse, is it not? I mean, and then, so you've got, obviously, the Islamic terrorism. Obviously, I mean, why wouldn't you have that? But then you've got mainstream media covering for it, and it's just the most bizarrely suicidal thing I've ever seen. It's totally nuts. It's just looking a lot like Europe, actually, is what's happening. We're just copying the template that Europe created for us. In North America, in Canada, and the US, just copying that template. It looks so great what's happening in Europe. Had to copy it. Let's see. We've got Trump here just talking about Rosie O'Donnell, just because it's Trump talking about Rosie O'Donnell. Of course, we have to do that. We've got Travis Donraj here, former CBC host, blowing the whistle and revealing naming names and telling us exactly how biased and dysfunctional this $1.4 billion state broadcaster is. And yeah, it's not a surprise to any of us that have been paying attention. Let's see. We've got Dallas Brody talking about, well, here she's dealing with some mainstream media bias here, actually. We'll get into that. But of course, she's talking about the Musqueam band and the Mark Carney's insane move to just hand them Canada's third largest city. It's just utterly insane. It's one of those things that's so crazy. It's so insane that I don't think people can grasp it. But I think people are starting to grasp it. So we're going to get into that. We've got another floor crosser. So Carney is basically, this time from the NDP, not from the Conservatives, from the NDP. So Carney's basically got his majority now. So all those arrogant, elbows up, liberal boomer voters, they're going to get what they wanted. They're going to get what they deserve from Mr. Carney. He's going to deliver it to them. Unfortunately, everybody else is going to get it as well. But we're going to talk about this. And of course, it all just looks crooked as hell again, because it's Canada. Because Canada is a banana republic now, apparently. A banana republic with lots of resources that we don't do anything with for some insane reason. Again, polls, Canada. Latest poll from BC. Conservatives 47, NDP 39. These are numbers I did not, like, if you'd asked me 3-4 years ago, I would say there's absolutely no chance you would ever, there wasn't even, like 4 years ago, there wasn't even a Conservative Party in BC. I would have said, no, there's no way. It's California North. There's just no way. It's too far gone. BC, well, it's really Vancouver, where most people live. It's just San Francisco now. Well, people are finding out about these land claims. And all of a sudden, the unthinkable is becoming reality. And there may be a way in this out of the Carney majority, possibly. We'll get into that later in the stream. Hang around for that, because I'm not hearing anybody else talking about it, but I think it's possible. And we've got Alberta independence here. We're going to talk about, of course. It's a big issue with Carney giving away Vancouver. I mean, we're going to be talking about BC independence coming up here soon. We got Pierre Poilievre. We've got calling, the Liberals to account for what it's worth. Yes, we've got the land claim stuff here, which is just lunacy. I mean, it's baffling. It's people. I think that Mark Carney will end up being more despised than even Trudeau by the time we finally removed from office, or he just leaves after he's made enough money. I don't know. Bill C9, we'll get into this. So it looks like this is going to get rushed through. It's going to the Senate. It's through second reading. It's going to go to the Senate. And so this is, the first part of Carney's plan to just lock down the narrative in Canada. Just lock it down. We've got a little bit on gender ideology here, which of course we deal with that weird, insane dystopian fantasy land that is gender theory. We've got some stuff on the UK, and things aren't going well. It's really the same thing all over the Western world, and it's worth looking at just to see. I mean, it's not just coincidence. It's all the same policies, all the same, just anti-human policies, quite frankly. And then we've got the last tab of the evening. So I guess Korean feminists are upset that an army base had a lady dancer come in. So that didn't make the feminists very happy. But I say let them have fun. Let the boys have fun. Tits out for the lads. That's what I say. And then on this last tab, we've got like comedy. We've got some politics stuff. Here's something for Rosie. I don't know what that's. It's some sort of chocolate bun thing. I don't know what's going on with that. She sent it in, and we got a bunch of stuff. We got some Christopher Hitchens and some Betty Hill and all kinds of nutty stuff. This we'll save for the next premium stream. Anyway, tons of stuff. This is our palate cleanser one. We'll see if we get through to the end of it. I can tell you right now, I am sweating just doing this. So we'll see. We'll see. But the show must go on, as they say. The show must go on, regardless of what kind of bacteria or bug is living in my digestive tract. There we go. That was one of those vitamin C drinks. Is what I'm having instead of ranch juice. Let's see. So let's get to the like. So, as everybody knows, we're streaming on Rumble, YouTube, and locals. Normally, we'd be streaming on X as well, but for some reason, the X stream failed. So I don't know what's going on with that. I guess next time I'll try it again. If it fails again, then I guess I got some work to do to figure it out. Sometimes it's just a bug, though. Things just happen. But in any case, when you like the stream or become a channel member or anything like that, of course you get good karma from me. Of course you get that Radio Baloney good karma. Right? Send me money. Hey, you get Radio Good Karma. Radio Baloney good karma for that, for sure. Easiest way is just like the stream. Just like that stream, people. Just like it. Like it. You get your easiest way to get your good karma. And you get extra when you're early. So let's do the roll call today. See, Nevada got the first like. So that's 6 good karmas. But you know what? It's a Wednesday one instead of a Tuesday night because we had to delay it a night. So let's give it extra. That's 8. 8. Boom. Travis got second. That's 7. Spambot says, I hope Richie is feeling better tonight. I feel better than I was on Monday night. But again, I'm sweating just talking. So, let's see. We're getting there. We're getting there, folks. Spambot says, let's hope it's Richie hosting and not the Grim Reaper. One day. Spambot got the 3rd, so that's about 6 good karmas. Boom. Spambot says, oh my God, go read some screenshots of Heels Up Harris's book, Gloriously Narcissistic, and it's all Trump's fault throughout. Well, of course, she could do no wrong. She's a strong woman.
You think you just fell out of a coconut tree?
No, I don't, Kamala, or whatever the fuck your name is. I still don't know how to pronounce it. Let's see. Boom. What do we got? There's Rosie. Radio Baloney Live's own Iron Lady. It's Rosie. Let's see. How you doing? Spambot says, I figure Lori joined the Liberals so her son can avoid getting on the sex offender registry list. You know what? Here's the thing. It's been more than a decade now of endless scandal. I mean, literally through the Trudeau years, it was a new scandal every week, like two. You take a look at Mark, the insanity, the scandalous conflicts of interest that Mark Carney has, which he lied about because he lies about everything. Like at this point, sure, yeah, absolutely. There's nothing they can do that would surprise me. Let's see. Nevada says, hope you're better. You sound just fine. I'm doing better than Monday. On the road to recovery. Rosie says, did you hear the FBI says Iran is prepping a drone strike on California? What? What? I don't think can their drones go that far? I don't think, I mean, that's a long, I don't think their drones can fly that far. That can't be possible. Let's see, on Timcast now. I don't know about that. Let's see. Izzy got like number 4, so that's 5 good karmas. Boom. Boom. Wait a second. Rose say she just got 4. I don't know. 4 good karmas for both. There we go. Let's see. Deborah. All right, that's it. Let's just get to it. Izzy says, not likely unless it's launched from in the U.S. Well, so hold on. That's something. Because let's not forget that Biden threw the gates open and the barbarians went in. Of course they did. Do you think that China, Iran, just every adversary didn't just send in 1 million agents and sleeper cells? Of course they did. Of course they did. Obviously. I mean, Biden, he basically invited it. He threw the gates open. It's just like, come one, come all. We don't care. People just showing up by the millions with no ID. They have no idea who they are. Just letting them in for future election purposes. Of course they're there. So yeah, I mean, you don't need like a super sophisticated drone to cause a lot of damage. So yeah, that I can see from a sleeper cell. Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, let's get to it. So, what's this here from Alex Jones? Trump says war coming to an end soon. Enraging Netanyahu and neocons. Well, let's take a look at this. So we got some different perspectives in this. Let's take a look.
Thank you, Mr. President. On Iran, you called it an excursion. You said it would be over soon. Are you thinking this week it will be over?
No,
Are you talking
but soon.
about days?
I think soon.
Okay, and with respect
Very
to...
soon.
Thank you, Mr. President. On Iran, you called it an excursion. You said it would be over soon.
Well, this has been his language, you know. Now, I think the thing with Trump is that he will just drop it. If he decides that, okay, there's nothing more to gain, that this is going to hurt more than help, I think he will just drop it. I think Trump is flexible in that way that other presidents haven't been. Now let's, now there's tons of stuff like this out there. The flying carpet, it's like fake propaganda from the from the Iran Air Force, making fun of them. Yeah, there's a ton of that, and you know that's what the internet is for. Let's take a look at here from Trump.
As of today, there have been 8 U.S. military fatalities associated with the war in Iran. How many American deaths are you willing to have in this war?
Well, as I said before, when you have conflicts like this, you always have death. And I was at Dover yesterday. I met the parents, and they were unbelievable people. They were unbelievable people, but they all had one thing in common. They said to me one thing, every single one, Finish the job, sir. Please finish the job. And I'll leave you at that.
So a lot of people will say that he's making that up, and they say that he's making up literally everything that he ever says, right? Here, I'm not saying that at all. War Monitor, IRGC base in Kurdish province of Iran before and after U.S. strikes. This is something that I can't definitely confirm, but let's take a look. So before and after. So it does look like it might be something military. Let's see. What do we have here? This weapon just changed warfare forever, says Jim Woo Kim, IQ 289. Israel just deployed the Iron Beam in live combat for the first time in history. It's a laser, a literal laser that shoots down missiles and drones out of the sky. This is real. This is real. Cost per Iron Dome interceptor, 50,000. Cost per Iron Beam shot, $3.50. $3.50. But that's not counting. It's hundreds of millions of dollars for all the infrastructure and everything and all the equipment to actually do it. So that's a little misleading, but we got some footage here. So you can see, yeah, down here. Another one up there. So, yeah, I mean, we've known that this kind of weaponry has been in development for a long time, and they're obviously using it here, testing it in combat here, and it's having some effect for sure. But again, it's saying it's $3.50 per shot. That's not the real cost of it. Let's see. And then we have here, the Islamic terror regime in Iran is firing cluster bombs at Israel every day with the intention of murdering as many Israeli civilians as possible. Cluster bombs are fired into civilian areas. I've seen clips of this. So they're delivered in one missile, and then it splits up into all of these smaller warheads. So let's see. President Trump on Iran. This is from 6 hours ago. Let's hear what he said here. Hold on.
You just said it is a little excursion, and you said it is a war. So which one is it?
Well, it's both. It's both. It's an excursion that will keep us out of a war, and the war is going to be. I mean, for them it's a war. For us, it's turned out to be easier than we thought. But think of it: they had thousands of missiles, 8,000 missiles. We got many of them before they got to launch. They have drones all over the place. We got many. Now we're knocking out the drone plants, as you know, going fast. They started talking about mines, so we hit 28 mine chips as of this moment, 28. Like using the same weapon, the exact same weapon that we use against the drug dealers in the water. We have, as an example, we had tremendous drugs pouring in through the waters, through the sea, and now we have almost none. It's down 97% through water. Now we'll do it through land. Land is easier than water.
So it sounds to me like it's really the drones that are the issue now, because they're easy to produce or a lot cheaper. The missiles, Iran has lots of the missiles, but it's the launchers that they've run out of. So my understanding is that with the missiles themselves, it's been reduced by like 90% because they just don't have the launchers at this point. But hold on one second. Okay, so here's a perspective from somebody who's very, very critical of this, from Daniel Davis Deep Dive. Let's see if I've got this right. It's both a war and an excursion, and it's easier than you thought. 7 Americans are dead, 150 wounded, 185 Iranian kids killed in an erroneous missile strike. Now, that there is some question that it's not certain that that was actually an American missile strike. $1 billion radar array destroyed, half our THAAD systems out, many of our bases severely damaged, the Strait of Hormuz effectively closed, many of our regional allies are running entirely out of interceptor missiles, and Israel has suffered enormous physical harm, and all that is easy. And what we've purchased for that cost, we failed to knock the regime out. We failed to stop Iran's missile and drone launches. We failed to locate or destroy the 450 kilograms of reprocessed uranium, and the Iranians aren't willing to negotiate anything with us. There is no identifiable victory criteria, and we are far from achieving any of the goals you set other than the effective destruction of the Iranian Navy and air defense, which have legitimately been devastated. But that has not produced submission, and it is not protecting us, our allies, or Israel from getting pummeled every night by missile and drone fire. What is the end state, Mr. President? And there is some confusion on messaging regarding that. Is it regime change? Is it just not being able to develop a nuclear weapon? So I don't know. There's a lot of fog of war right now, and I don't know how this is going to turn out. So I'm just trying to show you guys some different perspectives on this. And hold on a second. There's another thing I want to show you here. So let's watch this. So here's from India Today.
Let me start, therefore, by asking you, how do you see the situation in your country over the last 10 days? The relentless bombings, the manner in which Ali Khamenei was assassinated, and the likelihood of even more violence. How do you see the situation from where you are today outside Iran?
Hi, so thank you for having me, and thank you for finding it important to see the point of view of an Iranian. Throughout this interview, I'm going to try and voice the majority of Iranians' voices here and try and make the world understand, as much as it sounds cruel. The Iranian people have been asking for help for many, many years now. You know, it's been 47 years that this regime has been in power. And at this point, it has reached a place where the Iranians have been massacred in January and in many, many other different dates in history where this regime has gone against them and where they had no voice and no power to overthrow them. So at the moment, you will see a majority of Iranians taking pictures and videos of the bombs coming into the country, but super excited because they know that they're targeted at the IRGC and at the regime. And they're so excited and they have so much hope that finally this regime is going to fall, maybe.
You know, hold on. You know, you're saying they're excited by bombs, but let's be clear, Elnaz, we've seen a school which was bombed and more than 160 innocent schoolgirls died. And there is enough evidence that the Americans were involved in this. There are fears, therefore, that if this continues, more and more civilian lives will be lost. Aren't you concerned that all of this could only result in further destruction of your country and the possibility of a civil war breaking out? Doesn't that worry you? Or do you simply want the regime first out at all costs?
Of course, it worries everybody in Iran, and everybody is really sad about the fact that our country had to reach this point. But the 160 schoolgirls now are something that the world is seeing. But when the regime poisoned a full girls' school many years back, nobody paid attention. When the regime killed more than 40,000 people in January on the 8th and 9th, and then turned off the internet for the whole world so that nobody can talk about it, nobody paid attention to that. When the regime has been executing, we have the highest rate of executions in Iran. So many people, so many women, so many men, nobody pays attention to that. We Iranians know that there will be a lot of casualties, but we also know that there are casualties every day. There are more people dying when there is no war than when there is war. And this is something that will be very, very hard for people to understand. And people will think that I am for war. I'm not for war. Iranians are not for war. We don't want this. But we have no other way to remove this regime that has been killing its own people.
So I'm trying to give you guys some different perspectives on this and not editorialize too much on this story because this is complex, and you know, there's people on both sides that both have pretty valid points, So I don't know. I'm just kind of showing you guys, what I think is interesting in this, and then, leaving it up to you, and you guys can work it out in the chat. I pretty much have a position and editorialize on, the vast majority of things, but stuff like this, I will try and, present different sides on this. So, all right. What are you guys talking about? Let's go to the chat. Let's go back here. All right. Looks like we got Brian in the chat over on YouTube. All right. So who do we got in here? All right, hold on a second. All right. I think I've just about got to the chat where I was before. Hold on a second. Nevada heard about the drone strikes too. Well, domestic, a sleeper cell in the States. Again, it's like, these drones can do a lot of damage. Just consumer drones can be used to do an enormous amount of damage. And let's see. Izzy says, why do they expect him to give a firm deadline? Well, they have to ask the question, I guess. If it was Biden, would they ask Biden? Probably not. But, I mean, it is a reasonable question, but don't expect him to give the answer. Izzy says he isn't going to give Iran anything more than he wants them to know. Yeah, of course. Of course. Nevada says, Izzy, because then if it goes 1 minute beyond, well, yeah, exactly. I mean, Trump is a guy who will, if he just decides, no, that's it. He will just stop. And then just kind of, and then talk about what he has accomplished and not what he didn't, which if we're talking about regime change, right? He will focus on, knocking out their ability to refine any uranium or anything like that. So Nevada says, I heard Israel was hit with 100 missiles at once and it overwhelmed the Iron Dome. Well, I think that happened early, didn't it? Nevada says, remember the dead soldier count daily when Bush was president, and then came Obama, and the news never mentioned it again? Yeah, that's because they're propagandists. Now Israel is bombing. Yes, because Israel is bombing Lebanon now. Let's see. Izzy says, the number of missiles and drones they are launching has been dropping day by day. Little doubt they'll run out of launch sites soon. Well, that's what they're going after, is the launchers. Let's see. Brian says, Carney going away a month to Europe for March break. Yeah, and Brookfield will be following him all the way. It's so obvious what's happening here. The corruption, it's just so obvious, but it seems like we're just stuck. We're going to have them for years now. And all those arrogant elbozos are going to get what they deserve. Unfortunately, everybody else is going to get what they don't deserve with them. But we'll see what happens, especially when those liberal boomers are not going to be happy when it comes for their home equity. Not going to be happy at all. And guess what? There'll be nothing they can do about it. Nothing. And they will all have cheered with the floor crossers for Carney to get his majority. And there'll be nothing they can do. Let's see. All right, let's get on to the next one. So, I mean, I guess this guy has become the poster boy for a useful idiot, American useful idiot. What are they calling him? The terrorist footstool? Let's take a look. So this was at these guys are counter protesting a anti-Islam demonstration in New York City. And this guy is a deep, deep, deep dyed-in-the-wool lefty. And he will never, ever learn, as we shall find out. But here's what happened. So that terrorist there, who's now been arrested for terrorism, tried to use him as a footstool to jump up and launch his homemade bomb. Let's take a look.
We were born and raised in New York, and we want everyone here to stay in New York. You don't get to come from outside and then tell everyone else.
So his bombs didn't detonate, obviously. And the thing is, the explosives were impact explosives, so they very well could have gone off when they hit the ground. They might have killed him, maimed him, all those people around there. Would that give this guy pause for thought? Would it give him pause for thought? I don't think so. Let's see. What's he saying here? Walter Masterson. This is the guy. I was in the middle of saying, as a born and raised New Yorker, we welcome everyone in this city, when he threw that over my head. And he says, and I still stand by it. As a born and raised a New Yorker, everyone is welcome except Chief, Jake Lang. So the guy who trying to warn you about the guy throwing explosives that could have easily maimed or killed you and everyone around you. So these are the people that will never learn. Right? These are the truly, truly suicidal fools. Suicidal progressive fools. Daniel Friedman wrote, nearly getting murdered by a terrorist who was ostensibly on his side will not change Walter's views at all. Becoming a meme for having his priors ironically undermined on video in front of the entire world will not inspire him in a single moment of self-reflection. No, he will never allow himself to consider the possibility that he is wrong, and he will fight to his last breath anyone who tries to save him from himself, and he'll do it arrogantly and smugly as well, because he won't learn. Let's see. Hold on a second. Now, of course, CNN reported on this, so let's see. Where is that post from CNN? I think that we should. Oh, well, first, before we do that, let's show some more footage of this guy. There he is. He's dropping a bomb there at the police's feet. Fortunately, it did not go off. Homemade bomb. There he goes. Okay. Hold on one second. Where have we got it? So we got the other guy there. Let's check out this. Here, this guy hands him one of the homemade bombs, and you can see him light it. There he is. You saw him light it right at that end part there. He is lighting the bomb right there. You can see it smoking when he throws it. Okay. Oh, Nick Sorter posted this. Upon his arrest for throwing a bomb at an anti-Islam protester, in New York City, Amir Balat immediately pledged his allegiance to ISIS. And actually, we've got the police chief, or is it the police chief? We've got an authority telling us, here we go. Tommy Robinson posted this. And NYPD tell what Amir Balat said after the bomb attack. Well, what did he say? Let's see.
Qayyumi said in recorded post-arrest statements that he had watched ISIS propaganda on his phone and that his actions that day were partly inspired by ISIS. The complaint also details statements made by Amir Balat after his arrest. En route to the NYPD precinct, Balat made spontaneous statements without being questioned by NYPD officers that were captured on body-worn camera footage. He said, "This isn't a religion that just stands when people talk about the blessed name of the prophet. We take action, we take action." As well as, "If I didn't do it, someone else will come and do it. And later, after waiving his rights, he requested paper and wrote a message declaring in part, I pledge my allegiance to the Islamic State. Die in your rage, you kuffar. Now, die in your rage is a commonly known ISIS slogan, and kuffar is an Arabic term that refers to non-believers.
So, this guy here, where is he? This guy here is defending the guy who just tried to kill him, right? Or, blow off half his head or something. Blow off. He's defending the guy who just threw that bomb, which could have just easily killed him, definitely maimed him, blown off his face, whatever. This is the level of stupidity that we're dealing with, folks. This is it. They're across the Western world. And he will not learn. Now let's get to CNN. What did CNN have to say about this? All right, here we go. And Wokeness posted this. The internet is forever. The internet is forever. 2 Pennsylvania teenagers crossed into New York City Saturday morning for what could have been a normal day enjoying the city during abnormally warm weather. But in less than an hour, their lives would drastically change as the pair would be arrested for throwing homemade bombs during an anti-Muslim protest outside of Mayor Zohran Mamdani's home. Here's what we know so far. So carefully crafted to make it seem like 2 teenagers went and threw homemade bombs at Muslims outside of Mayor Zohran Mamdani's home. Right? Their lives would drastically change as the pair would be arrested for throwing homemade bombs during an anti-Muslim protest outside of Mayor Zohran Mamdani's home. So carefully crafted to make it seem like just 2 regular teenagers, made some bombs and tried to kill Zohran Mamdani. It makes them sound like they were anti-Muslim protesters. Does it not? I mean, this is evil. This is just straight up evil. Like, there's no way this was an accident, obviously, right? When we say they're not trying to inform you, they're trying to manipulate you, this is what we're talking about. This is it. This is maybe the most blatant example I've ever seen. This is just inverting the story to try and trick people. Do the people working at CNN, do they not understand that they're also in the crosshairs, right? Like, they are also hated. They are also hated by the guy who threw those bombs. Do they not understand this? They have no sense of self-preservation. Just unbelievable. And then they posted this, a post regarding the 2 individuals arrested for throwing homemade bombs outside of New York City, Mayor Zohran Mamdani's home, failed to reflect the gravity of the incident, thereby breaching the editorial standards we require for all our reporting. It is therefore being desired. Do you mean it lied? How about it lied? It tried to invert the story. Anyway, reader's note here. Both CNN's original post and follow-up deletion statement exemplify minimized framing, a media bias technique that downplays an event's severity via selective narrative and language. Yes, both the original post and the follow-up post. It's just wrong. CNN should just be shut down, right? Like, who owns them now? Whoever owns them now at this point, just shut it down. You'd just be doing humanity a favor. Because they blast that stuff out internationally as well. Let's see. All right. Hold on. Actually, I need to refresh that again. So here's Benny Johnson posted this. CNN caught repeatedly lying about who was targeted in the recent New York City ISIS-inspired Muslim IED attack on American protesters. Well, let's take a look, shall we?
2 Republicans say Muslims don't belong here after an attempted terror attack against New York's Mayor Zohran Mamdani, and the House Speaker Mike Johnson says nothing really to condemn.
Just a
Two
lie.
Republicans say Muslims don't belong here after an attempted terror attack against New York's Mayor Zohran Mamdani and the House Speaker Mike Johnson.
Just a lie. Just a straight up lie, an obvious lie.
Some of these comments are as a result of the attempt against Mayor Mamdani in New York, who was raised Muslim, was he not? Himself. So they're being anti-Muslim. Some of these comments are as a result of the attempt against Mayor Mamdani in New York.
So the question is she that ignorant? Like, is she going on TV with literally knowing nothing about what she's talking about, nothing about the issues, totally ignorant of the issues? Is it that, or is she lying? I don't even know. I don't even know at this point. I mean, she does seem particularly dumb. Let's see. What's this? Mamdani asked about the 2 arrested men who were inspired by ISIS. Well, what does he have to say? Let's see.
So, given that both of the alleged attackers at Gracie said they were inspired by ISIS, and given New York City's sort of perennial status as a soft target, I was wondering if you had any, words of advice to any young people who might find themselves being drawn to that particular ideology.
I think first and foremost, just to make it clear to everyone that extremism and hatred of any kind will not be tolerated in our city. And
extremism and hatred of any kind, even ISIS hatred, apparently, even ISIS. That's how strict he is on the whole hatred thing.
That is, regardless of whatever ideology motivates any person to commit an act of violence, there is no tolerance for it here. What we want to deliver to New Yorkers.
Yeah, just whatever kind, like even ISIS terror he's against. Again, he's really serious about this. I mean, he's willing to extend this even to ISIS, he says. Good luck, New York. You bought the ticket. I guess you're taking the ride. All right, let's move on. Holy Jesus, the world is insane. I mean, it's just every Western country is insane at this point, or at least parts of it are insane. Let's see. Let's see. What are you guys saying? Let's see. Izzy says Alberta independence. All right. It sounds like he's signing up next week. Let's see. Izzy says brainwashed, useful idiots. Well, yeah. I mean, look, a terrorist literally uses you as a footstool to launch his bomb right in front of you. That could, I guess he'd be, I mean, I have to, obviously the guys would be perfectly happy if he also was blown up. His socialist, useful idiot. His socialist useful idiot friend. How do the left is really bad at figuring out who their friends are, right? Like those, what were the gays for Gaza or whatever the hell they are, right? Really bad at figuring out who their friends and who their enemies are. Let's see. Izzy says they're obviously right-wing extremists. Well, the media immediately went to that. I mean, and it's so insanely wrong and evil. You think that there'd be like whistleblowers, people quitting and writing books about their experiences at places like CNN. You'd think that would be happening, but no, none of them have any integrity. It's incredible. Yeah. Let's see. Spambot says, I guess the mayor of New York is forgetting that Shia Muslims blow up Sunni mosques and vice versa. Well, yeah, but it's like a thing where they'll join with each other over a kuffar, right? So they'll definitely fight each other. But if there's a non-Muslim of any, a non-Muslim, they will join up to defend any. It's the Ummah, right? The Ummah. and global Islam. So they will team up if they're threatened by a non-Muslim or insulted or whatever, right? Let's see. All right, let's go here. So on the lighter side, here is Trump having fun at Rosie O'Donnell's expense and talking to the what is it in Ireland? Is it the First Minister? Is that what it is? But here's Trump talking to here's Trump talking about Rosie O'Donnell going to Ireland. And I don't think Trump was sad to see her go. I think he felt like the United States was a stronger, better country without Rosie O'Donnell and her face and her frowning, miserable face. Let's take a look.
Ireland is known for very happy, fun-loving people, great attitude, many in this room right now that I've met. Why in the world would you let Rosie O'Donnell move to Ireland? I think she's going to lower your happiness level.
It's true. Thank you. I like that question.
Mr. Prime Minister, are you expecting?
Do you know who she is?
Yeah. I'm joking.
You better off not. You better off not knowing.
President Trump, Ireland is known for very happy.
Rosie O'Donnell, that face. The moment when diplomacy meets savage humor. Irish PM probably nodded wisely. Yes. Well, what can he really say? He doesn't want to get Rosie O'Donnell mad at him. All right, let's move on. So, this is Travis Donraj, and he was a host for CBC News, and he quit CBC News. So he is testifying about all of the bias and all just the general insanity and dysfunction inside of the CBC. Things like he wasn't allowed to book conservatives, for instance, for his show. And this is not revealing anything really shocking. None of this is shocking to those of us who have been following, because we know that the CBC is just a utterly woke, biased mess. It's a totally corrupt organization that operates as nothing more than a propaganda arm. We know that it's a totally corrupt organization that operates as nothing more than a propaganda arm of the Liberal Party. Let's hear what he has to say here.
Move some of this forward. When it came to Mr. Cochrane, this is during the convoy, for example. We were talking about Tamara Litch, who was an individual who was involved in the convoy. We were doing a story around that. And off the hand remarks can be made at times. And I said, I think that she has a couple of different last names. People who live in trailers usually do. Okay, off-color remark. But if this is a pattern, right? You have to, if your staff on your own show are raising this, if people are leaving the program, you have to look a little bit deeper into it, as opposed to pulling me off the air for saying it's unfortunate the president didn't come on the show. Move some of this forward.
So Tamara Leach, who was, I think, really more of a figurehead with the Freedom Convoy, with the trucker protest in Ottawa, than really a leader, that's my understanding of it. And really convenient for the government and the media to find somebody to demonize as the face of it. And you have David Cochrane, who's, one half of the Rosemary Barton, David Cochrane propaganda machine at CBC, the two top people at the CBC, talking about Tamara Leach, essentially putting her down in a very, very snobbish, elitist way for living in a trailer. Which, by the way, in Canada, it's not poor people living in trailers anymore, okay? It is so expensive. Property is so expensive now. I think this will offend a lot of people who maybe voted liberal who hear this. And I think it will disgust them, actually. If they hear about it. Of course, the CBC isn't covering it. In fact, let's go really quickly and let's just check out this CBC website, because this was just yesterday. CBC, this should be huge news. This committee on the CBC. Let's take a look. CBC News. Let's see. Anything here? Floor crossing, Davies. Anything about the hearings? Travis Donraj. 3 cargo ships. Nothing here. Nothing here. Nope, I'm not seeing anything here on the front page. If it's not on the front page, it didn't happen. But it may as well have not have happened, by the way. Let's see. Nope, nothing. For some reason, they're not reporting on their own scandal. Isn't that weird? Let's see. Nothing. Oh, boy. Nothing. Nope. Well, as you can see, they're not interested in reporting on their own scandal for some reason. They only get $1.4 billion from the government, right? They're only supposed to be the state broadcaster for all Canadians. Isn't this interesting? Or isn't it totally predictable? What a disgrace. What an utter and total disgrace. Wow. Travis Donraj alleges David Cochrane insulted Freedom Convoy organizer Tamara Lich, suggesting she is a trailer park lady. People who live in trailers usually do, he said, allegedly in reference to her. So these are the people. These are the people here who were. These are the people that got Mark Carney elected, by the way. Without these people, Mark Carney does not get elected. Let's see. What do we have here? Under questioning at committee by Conservative MP Rachel Thomas, former CBC host Travis Donraj read out statements from others who have worked at CBC about their awful experiences. Brian Lilly posted this. Let's take a look. And keep in mind, this is Canadians pay for this. Canadian public pays for this to happen.
Mr. Donraj, I'm just curious. There was a document that you talked about in your opening remarks called Parameters for Political Guests. Would you be willing to table that with the committee?
I would.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Appreciated. Now, I just want to get to the bottom of this. Can you talk a little bit about any pressure that you experienced at the CBC to shape stories in a particular fashion?
Sure, I can. But I do want to spend part of my time, because I am here speaking and this is my story. But over the past several days, and even when this story initially came out, there have been other CBC employees, current and former, that have come forward to me that are afraid to speak out publicly. And they have sent me some statements. So I'd like to, if I can, read into the record some of what I have been getting from current and former employees. This is a current employee at the CBC. I've been with CBC for 10 years, and I have witnessed and experienced multiple incidents of the misuse of taxpayer dollars, racism, favoritism, nepotism, sexual harassment, and verbal abuse. And then she goes on to outline specific examples. This next individual was someone that you would all know if I said their name. They left the CBC after a 10-year career. The end of their statement says, without exaggeration, I experienced toxicity every single day, and it was almost always from the same people. It was not subtle. It was not hidden. It was part of the daily reality of working there. She goes on to say that she was set to interview Catherine Tate on air. I introduced myself to her in the makeup room as the host. In front of others, she responded, I didn't know I'd be interviewed by somebody who looks like she is 14. That moment stayed with me. It was dismissive, inappropriate, and reflected a broader culture in which respect was not always equally extended to everyone.
Keep in mind, these are the people who present themselves as the absolute arbiters of morality and decency in Canada.
On Mr. Cochrane, this was one of his former producers. His toxic behavior extended beyond editorial matters and was more often than not deeply hypocritical. While he publicly presented himself as a supporter of diversity, he actively undermined the contributions of colleagues who were minorities. This is somebody who left the industry and had to go to another country. After about a year of working there as an anchor, this is in Vancouver, I was suddenly removed from the anchor desk. I was told the decision was related to the color of my skin, that as a white person, I did not fit the diversity targets they were trying to meet. No concerns about my performance had ever been raised. My concern was the system and the reasoning behind the decision. My frustration was never directed at the individual who stepped into the role. She was also said that she was forced to check a box if somebody of a diverse background appeared on the air. And she said that that was concerning to her. I believe it's important to include a broad range of voices and perspectives, but reducing interview subjects to a check box felt like an overly simplistic way of approaching something that deserves much more care and thought. And I can go on. There are a number of these stories, and it is shocking. These people have been traumatized. They are scared to come out. They're scared of the professional repercussions. And management, like Andre Lau, like Brody Fenlon, like Kathy Perry, like Chris Carter, they are concerned about protecting the reputation of the organization as opposed to dealing with these issues when it comes to employees.
So, Mr. Danraj, during your time there, can you just outline what years were you there?
I was there. I finished at Global, I think, in 2021. It's in the bio that I provided.
Oh, perfect.
And then I came to Ottawa. I was a parliamentary reporter. I flew around with the Prime Minister. I covered Parliament Hill. I was. Then I went back to Toronto. I was on Marketplace. I covered the Queen's funeral, and then I got my own show, which I thought, I'd have some say in terms of how that show went. And on the intersection panel, this is a picture here of all the folks that we had on the panel. We've got here one with Raheem Mohammed and Rachel Gilmore. I don't know if you can get two people very far apart on the ideological spectrum as that. Sheila Copps, Brian Lilly, and Faye Johnston, right? We were having the Canadian conversation, and this panel was canceled. And you also have issues of pay equity when it comes to all of these folks.
So obviously your point here was to create.
It wasn't canceled because of the lefties on there, by the way. It's because of, the Brian Lillys on there.
Panel that was full of diversity, not just in skin color or ethnicity or religious background, perhaps, but you wanted diversity of thought.
Correct.
Were you given the journalistic freedom then to move forward and do that for the sake of the Canadian public?
No, I mean, the issue became with the panelists. We had a list of 43 people or 45 people that Power and Politics gave us that said, do not go near these people, right? And some of these folks were like reporters, like Robert Benzie. There's a story breaking at Queen's Park, and we're on at 7:00. We should be able to call, somebody who covers Queen's Park and talk to them. But there were these continued hurdles and roadblocks that were set up to really have a certain group of folks in Ottawa in control of who was allowed on programs. Particularly mine was.
Yeah, that's called narrative control, right? Narrative control. It's not about informing the public, but managing the narrative.
Was a concern. And there were repeated episodes of conservatives being blocked. I mean, I have the G chats right here. I said, in terms of getting folks on, that we need to have balance. It's not about just having a show with conservatives or just with liberals. But if Power and Politics is going to have liberals talking points on all the time, we should have balance as a network. And I said, we are in contravention of Section 11 of, I told Brody Fenlon this, and also Andre Lau repeatedly. We are in contravention of the Broadcasting Act if we are not providing equitable time for all perspectives. So I don't want to flood the show with conservatives, but I do.
Yeah, I doubt they're worried about the Broadcasting Act. Yes, this is Canada. Liberals run this country, right? They're in control of every single institution. They The laws don't apply to them, as we found out during the Trudeau years.
Want to have balance. And there are, and this is all I can talk to my legal team because some of this is before the Human Rights Commission in terms of how this happened. But there were repeated attempts over and over and over again. At one point, I heard, okay, well, maybe you can have NDP folks on, but Conservatives are a no. It should blow the Canadian public's mind that this was the stuff that was going on.
It doesn't blow my mind because we already knew it. It's obvious from the product, right? From the product. It's not news. It's just a product. It's just a propaganda product. Yes, we know that they're super biased against Conservatives. We knew it, all right? You can see, obviously, why this guy isn't working for CBC anymore, right? He didn't get the memo. Well, I guess he did get the memo that, we're not here to inform the public. We're here to work for the betterment of the Liberal Party. I guess he did get the memo, and he didn't like it, and that was the problem. Let's see. Hold on. Let's see. What was this one? So, from Cat Canada posted this. CBC fired a reporter for diversity of thought. He says the environment there was toxic and drags David Cochrane and Rosemary Barton for being bullies. Let's take a look.
Appreciate it. Good morning, Madam Chair and members of the committee. As a kid growing up in Alberta, I wasn't like most of my friends. Every night, I watched The National with Knowlton Nash. He represented a public broadcaster that belonged to Canadians. Not to power, not to party, but to the public. And that is the CBC that I believed in. Now, many Canadians know the story.
And by the way, everybody loved that CBC. Everybody was a fan of CBC back then. Not just the news, but the regular programming, the TV shows, just the entertainment shows, right? That's long gone.
About one of my tweets. In April 2024, I publicly stated that Canada Tonight had requested an interview with then CBC President Catherine Tate, and the request was declined. Facts. Shortly after, I was removed from the air. Now, on May 7th, 2024, Tate told this very committee she was, quote, not aware of any repercussions. Yet 24 hours earlier, ATIP records show her vice president, Barb Williams, briefed her directly about my situation. Now that matters because trust matters. The tweet was not the beginning. It was the breaking point. For months prior, tensions had been building, not over performance, but over control. While I was publicly held up as a bold, diverse host, my ability to lead the very program carrying my face and name was quietly being stripped away. CBC's stated commitment to diversity contrasted with realities of tokenism. Still, I pushed forward, creating a nightly panel.
So tokenism. So, yeah, I mean, he came to the realization that they didn't want diversity of thought, right? The diversity of skin color is a cover for the total conformity of thought, which is what they really, really want, right? So they want everybody agreeing with Rosemary Barton. They want everybody pushing the same message, but they just like it better when it's people of different skin colors doing it. No diversity of thought allowed at the CBC, I'm afraid.
To showcase real diversity, including of thought. I questioned unequal pay. Why, for example, one contributor who was Indigenous always needed to be paid, while others weren't. When a prominent Black journalist requested compensation after appearing doing the exact same job, I was told to reconsider booking him moving forward. I attempted to end this discriminatory practice. Instead, the panel was canceled. When it came to politics, interviews were blocked under guardrails, governed by an internal document never made public, titled Parameters for Political Guests. Political access was centralized. Booking decisions controlled elsewhere. It did not happen once. It became a pattern. It became the standard. Power in Politics, hosted by David Cochrane, was given gatekeeping authority over which politicians could appear on Canada Tonight. When I questioned that control and who was in control, I was viewed as disruptive. Now, at the same time, I raised concerns about a toxic environment. After I sat down with Speaker Greg Fergus for a conversation on Black History Month, Chief Political Correspondent Rosemary Barton circulated internal communications questioning my program, copying senior leadership, insinuating she or Mr. Cochrane should have done the interview. It was an intimidation tactic, which management ignored. I and others raised concerns about bullying behavior by senior figures, including Mr. Cochrane. But while he remained on air, I faced discipline and marginalization. Now, the transcripts of these meetings show the issue was not about my journalism, but about reputational risk to the corporation.
Yeah, one thing we're seeing here is that it really, Rosemary Barton and Cochrane are really the ones wielding the power at CBC News. And apparently they're also awful. Terrible people. Let's see. So, yeah, internal. So here, this was posted by Table Salt. CBC whistleblower exposes political censorship. So let's see this because they had a, hold on a second. Let's take a look.
When it came to politics, interviews were blocked under guardrails, governed by an internal document never made public, titled Parameters for Political Guests. Political access was centralized, booking decisions controlled elsewhere. It did not happen once. It became a pattern.
Well, that's the sort of thing you want to do if you want to control the narrative. You want to control who can speak and what they're going to say and what you want the public to hear, which is obviously the main job of the CBC. It's just propaganda. Here is posted by Juno News. Travis Donroch criticizing the CBC for blocking conservative voices. Let's take a look.
The CBC does talk about being diverse, inclusive, fair, and balanced, yet one of the CBC's premier segments is something called At Issue, which features Toronto Star journalist Chantal Hebert, Athila Raj, and Globe and Mail journalist Andrew Coyne. In what universe is this diverse, fair, or balanced as a news panel?
Well, I mean, the National makes their own decisions, I suppose, in terms of who they put on that panel. And it's Rosie's panel, so Miss Barton's panel. So I guess you can have to talk to her about the editorial decisions. But what I was attempting to do on this program was have that diversity of opinion. And when they canceled the panel, I sent in a note to panelists asking for feedback, and I was disciplined for that. And I just want to talk about this NDA that I got because it's important. Because I was raising concerns about editorial, and I was slapped with this NDA here, which is a practice that the CBC is using frequently, which was raised by Dave Seglins, and you guys all have the paper. Dan Resch has considered whether he has a human rights complaint with respect to the issues in dispute, and by his signature below confirms that he does not. Further, he confirms that he seeks no right or remedy under the Canadian Human Rights Act as amended with respect to the issues in dispute, and any such claim is barred by this agreement.
Just think about this for a second. A publicly funded news organization with NDAs, non-disclosure agreements. What's the purpose of that? Well, to keep the public from knowing what's going on in the thing that they're funding. To the tune of $1.5 billion.
That should be shocking to every member on this committee. And I hope that other members on the committee take an interest in terms of the issues that I'm outlining here, because it is very important. We should not have a public institution silencing their own employees and having them waive their rights under the Canadian Human Rights Act. That should be shocking.
Getting back to the bigger issue of the fairness and balance in news, you mentioned at one point that CBC management actually prevented you from interviewing conservative Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre on your show. Can you describe what happened there?
Yeah, well, I basically wasn't allowed to pick up the phone and talk to conservatives. I have some G chats here, which I just want to, read you part of this. I'm talking to my senior producer. I'm saying, okay, this is an editorial discussion. Can we get a conservative perspective on this is essentially what I'm saying. It is a no to the conservatives, I'm told. We can't chase anyone from the entire party. The chase is with PNP. So if Power and Politics is not able to secure a conservative or somebody that presents an alternate perspective, then we are not allowed to. I'm told at one point, we're sure that there's a myriad of other types of interesting guests that you can chase outside of the conservatives. Can I be included on conversations with Power and Politics? That's not how we work. I say to management, by playing petty office politics, we feed into conservative narratives that we have a bias against them. Canada Tonight is a melting pot of news of the day, and politics and decisions from it largely impact Canadians. So we need flexibility to respond to emerging stories. So yes, I wasn't even allowed to pick up the phone and call to request Pierre Poilievre. Look at what happened when I had Melissa Lantsman on my show, right? I was threatened to be pulled off the air, which CBC then said in a news statement they didn't threaten to do that. There are recordings of them trying to do this.
Why do you think they were doing that?
I mean, there's an effort to essentially protect those in Ottawa in terms of their perspectives on these things, in terms of who they want on the show. It should be about, we did an interview with Karen Johnson, my co-host on the new podcast I'm doing. It is out right now. She's another former CBC employee that is talking about the toxic culture. She said that she alleges that she was called a brown Barbie, a bimbo, but she says that it's a very high school culture. And these are things that this is fine. If you have hosts doing that, it's not fine, but but management, you are responsible for dealing with it. And so if management is not going to do anything, if the president of the CBC is going to come here and expect a tongue lashing and then be able to go back to the CBC and continue to get funding without accountability, these practices will continue. So shame is clearly.
So it's the bias that we know was happening, right? This is just confirmation of something we already knew. If you want to know how Mark Carney, a guy that 9 out of 10 Canadians could not have picked out of a lineup, a week before, if you want to know how Mark Carney, a guy who 9 out of 10 Canadians could not have picked out of a lineup, probably 2 weeks, 3 weeks after he announced his intention to run for prime minister. You want to know how that guy, who's barely spent any of his adult life in Canada, could suddenly be the great Canadian elbows up hero, great patriot? Do you want to know how that can happen? How a prime minister is manufactured? How a man who has absolutely no reason for, how a man that no Canadian should have any reason to vote for, can suddenly be put on a throne with a crown on his head and a sword in his hand, and be told, and have the public be told that this is the great Trump killer, right? And become prime minister. This is how it's done. This is how you get somebody that nobody knows about. Again, 9 out of 10 Canadians could not have, and that's being very generous. 9 out of 10 Canadians could not have picked Mark Carney out of a lineup, and next thing you know, he's prime minister. This is how it happens. This is why nobody knew about Mark Carney's actual record at the Bank of England. Right? This is how enough Canadians were convinced that Mark Carney was some sort of moderate and not a net zero fanatic. This is how you manufacture a prime minister. That is what this guy is describing to us. All right. Hold on a sec. All right. Hold on. I think that is about it on this. Yeah. All right. Let's go to the chat. Do, 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 do. Rosie says Tamara Leach should be pardoned and have her record expunged. Yeah, not going to happen anytime soon. You're right. It's not going to happen anytime soon. Not with the Carney prime minister. This, I mean, it looks like we're getting Carney for the next 3 years at least. I mean, maybe Canadians are so stupid now that even after what he does to the country after 3 years, after he's pilfered the country after 3 years, right? Canadians will still vote for him. I don't know. I don't know how bad it has to get, but there is one ray of hope, and we're going to get to it. Not quite yet. Let's see. Rosie says, I cannot imagine living in a trailer in Canada. My uncle lived in one in South Dakota. If they close the cabinet doors, all the canned food froze solid. Canada is even colder. Well, I had a friend who moved into a trailer. A good job too, made like $90,000 a year, somewhere around there. And that's all she could afford because it'd gotten so expensive. And it was a really nice it was a nice place too, actually. The whole place, it was like a nice little community. It was almost like a time capsule. It was nice, everything. Everybody had nice manicured lawns and stuff. But in any case, Spambot says, absolute arbiters of indecency and immorality, the CBC. Yep. Ottawa James says, CBC are elitist scum. Oh, boy. I got to be careful, because it looks like Bill C9 is getting rammed through. And what does it say in there? Let's see. Hatred. So you can now, they're redefining hatred in the bill. So you can be prosecuted for your emotions now. Let's see. Hatred means the emotion that involves detestation or vilification, and that is stronger than disdain or dislike. So totally subjective, and just any activist judge can just decide it's whatever they want. So I don't know. I've got to be careful not to involve detestation or vilification things now. Otherwise, I guess I'll go to prison in Canada now because everything's insane. Let's go back here. Let's see. Before they got political, about the CBC. Well, I mean, there's always CBC News, but before they became, again, just utterly biased. Ottawa James, how you doing, Ottawa? This guy had too much integrity for CBC. Yes, that's literally the truth. Rosie says, Rich, you got any VR goggles? Put them on your family and take them on a road trip to Alberta. Alberta's sounding better and better. I think that maybe BC will go with these land claim stuff. BC might separate faster, actually. Let's see. What is this link? Better be related to what we're talking about. Better be, or else you're in trouble, or else you're dead meat. Dead meat. All right, let's do this. Copy link address. Let's go. Oh, God. Here we go. Breaking. Canada unveils its new flag from, what's that, Trolling Canuck? Yeah, that's pretty much it. Pretty much it. But now with, it looks like Carney's going to get his majority through bribing, opposition members. The latest one, NDP. That liberal voters, the El Bozos, are going to get... they bought the ticket. They're going to have to take the ride now. I don't think they know they don't know what's coming because everything they know they learned on CBC. So they have no idea what's coming. So on the topic of CBC again, here's from Dallas Brody. And she is very vocal. She leads the 1BC party in British Columbia. And really, she's the best politician in British Columbia. And she's the only one calling out the insanity, really calling out the insanity of the land claims, of the unmarked graves hoax in Kamloops and across Canada, of which they're demanding that they do a dig, that we see some evidence that it has to be proven. These claims have to be proven, which is not happening. And obviously speaking out against the land claim stuff, and Mark Carney having just given away Canada's third largest city, Aboriginal title to Vancouver. That's right, almost the entire Lower Mainland. This is completely and utterly insane. And of course, the media is, and of course, every leftist politician is just working overtime to smear her. Let's take a look here. So this is CBC interviewing her, and I guess they're trying to smear her as having made threats against the Musqueam Band, which Mark Carney has just handed over Indigenous title of Vancouver to. Let's take a look.
Just for your reaction on that. Public discourse often yields. Just for your reaction on that. Public discourse often yields things like this. I was personally subjected to death threats as a result of things that CBC said about me on the air. You'll recall when you hosted people at CBC for half an hour, sometimes all at once, calling me names. I had to get security guards and had death threats against myself. So I well understand what happens when you're in the public forum and when people are saying things about you that aren't true.
And I wanted to ask as well, Minister Mark Miller is accusing you yesterday of spreading concerns about private land to whip up votes. I'm curious what's your response to that?
It is very clear what's going on in the Lower Mainland of British Columbia. This is land collectivization. This is a land grab. And anybody who thinks that this isn't going to affect their private property and the value of their property and the title is dreaming. This is incredible that a band of 1,400 people is actually thinking they want to run the entire Lower Mainland of British Columbia. And this whole deal needs to be withdrawn, retracted, and put away somewhere and never to be raised again. It's causing incredible division in our province. And don't put this on me. I'm the one who's reading the agreement. Have you read it?
My colleague is working out.
So, yeah, it is a very frightening agreement that's been launched on the Lower Mainland of Vancouver. And there has to be a bigger agenda at work here because certainly we can't have someone who's not responsible or answerable to the taxpayers of British Columbia, Chief Wayne Sparrow, who none of us can vote for, having decision-making authority over all the lands in the Lower Mainland of British Columbia. Thank you very much.
Yeah, the court decision in Richmond makes it clear that Aboriginal title supersedes fee simple. Fee simple is in Canada, so you buy a house, it's fee simple ownership, right? You own it. Now, all of a sudden, there's this other thing that's been placed over top of it, Aboriginal title. And that supersedes it, according to the court right now. So, yeah, this is a massive concern. This is going to affect, as this moves forward, it will allow for, you can be charged rent. You can be charged all kinds of fees. You can have to pay to do anything on your property. You can even be kicked off your property eventually. That's where this will lead. That's where I believe this is obviously going to go. I mean, just the idea of handing over Mark Carney without even a court battle, just hands over Vancouver, Aboriginal title of Vancouver, the third largest city. This is insanity. This is utter insanity. If that can happen, you can, you can be kicked off your land. That can absolutely happen in the future at some point. And people are finally starting to wake up to this. Take a look. March 10th, new BC Innovative Research Poll. Conservatives, 47%, NDP, 39%. So the polls have switched. And I mean, the Conservative Party of BC wasn't even around like 4 years ago. It's the first time there's been a Conservative Party in British Columbia in decades. So obviously people are starting to wake up and recognize that this is very, very dangerous, right? We've all heard about people not being able to renew their mortgages in Richmond because banks are like, well, you don't really own the land, right? And people are waking up to the fact. If you are on those 800 acres in Richmond and you're trying to sell your house, good luck. Good luck. People are waking up and realizing, wait a second, the value of my home could go to nothing. People are already paying mortgages that are larger than the value of their house in Vancouver right now. And it's going to get worse. Would you go and buy a house? Would you go spend $1 million, $1.5 million, whatever, on a house where you don't even really know if you own it properly? No. This is going to become obviously a catastrophe for the NDP. The media is covering up. I saw a news story leading off the news hour, I think last week, I think Friday, and they didn't even mention Aboriginal title in the whole segment. They talked about fishing rights. Just lying, trying to cover it up, but it's getting out now. 4 years ago, if you told me Conservatives 47% in BC, I would have said you were nuts. No, it's California North. The people are too stupid to ever change their minds. Well, they're starting to change their minds. People are finding that line. This number is only going to go up. I've been saying for a while, if this province has any sense whatsoever, the NDP, no leftist party, would win an election here for 1,000 years after what they've done. 1,000 years. And I wonder if we might see some floor crossers going the other way, because now this is provincial politics, but federal politics, there are Liberal seats in British Columbia. And I wonder if we're going to see some floor crossers going the other way, from the Liberals maybe to the Conservatives, who are the only party who will actually do anything about this, right? Obviously, Mark Carney is just going to give away the country at this point for his own purposes. So in any case, hold on, where were we? So let's go back. So anyway, yeah, there's the CBC trying to, again, invert reality, claiming that Dallas Brody is making threats. Oh, good Lord. Mr. Sunshine Baby says, CBC platformed a communist who zapped his dog on camera for the world to see. Canada is so broken. Well, he's actually telling the truth, as ridiculous as it seems. So, pardon me, Real Mr. Bench posted this. CBC brings in American political streamer Hassan Piker, who's a communist, by the way, to explain to Alberta why separation is wrong. Apparently, CBC couldn't find a Canadian for that job. This guy is a half-wit communist, a literal half-wit communist who did zap his dog. He had a zap collar for his dog, and he'd force it to sit there for hours while he did his live streams. And he was caught on camera electrocuting his dog to make it sit still. This is who they have on.
What do you think of some of the rumblings from...
By the way, this guy knows nothing about Canada. He knows nothing about the United States or anywhere else in the world. Okay? His audience is like 16-year-old fake communists. Okay? He certainly knows nothing about Alberta.
Alberta, talking about how they want to separate.
I don't understand Albertan separatists at all. As someone who lives in America, you don't want to know what it looks like when you have no health care that's backed by the government at all. It's not great. It's interesting to see the same
What does he know about Canadian healthcare right now? And what is he saying? What? Why are they letting that pass, by the way? The separatists have not said anything about getting rid of universal healthcare in Alberta. So why do they let that pass? Isn't that strange? Weird, huh? Weird. Almost like they're trying to brainwash everybody.
Same exact separatist movements being implemented in a Western country that's such a close ally to the United States of America, because this is what we have done for decades to Latin American countries, to countries in the Middle East, and now it almost feels like we're doing it haphazardly to one of our most loyal allies in the North.
Oh, that's why they had him on, so he could bash Trump. Oh, I forgot. Because that is like now 80% of CBC content now is just Trump derangement syndrome. Great. A platform, and Robin Sky says, CBC is now platforming an avowed socialist who celebrated October 7th. He's actually a communist. He loves that communist China, by the way. So, yeah, there we go. Let's move on. I should go back to the chat for a second. Let's see. Everybody wants Soma in the chat. Some Soma, please. I'll take some. Let's see. Ottawa James says Dallas Brody is awesome. She is. She's very brave, and she's kind of alone, unfortunately. Ottawa James says BC has it the worst. It's just unbelievable. People are starting to find out now, though, and you're seeing it in the polls. A lot of people just won't believe it, right? They just will. No, it couldn't happen. They couldn't allow that to happen. Oh, shut it. Damn it, Rosie. We're not talking about that. I did not kick him. That was an accident. I accidentally brushed my foot against him. That's it. And then I felt bad because I don't know if he realized it was an accident. What are you talking about now? What the hell are you talking about? Let's see. All right, let's go here. So, I mean, everything about Canada in the news here is just dystopia. It's all just dystopia. It's everything is don't be Canada. So here we have the newest floor crosser, Lori Idlout, on why she joined the Liberals. So with her, there's 3 by-elections coming up. They're at 170 right now. They need 172. 2 of them are Liberal strongholds. They're guaranteed. With her, now it's going to be, well, they call it a, kind of a weak majority, but it's going to be enough. I'm sure Carney will now be able to bribe some more to cross over, and it really doesn't matter.
Like with any complicated issue, it wasn't just one thing that happened. There are a variety of many things that have allowed me to really reflect on this, and I'm very thankful to be so warmly welcomed.
Well, you could name one. If there's so many, you could name one particular thing, right? Or I guess naming the bribes probably won't look good. Real Mr. Bench says she refused to say what she was offered, only saying it was complicated. What was she offered? Something. I mean, look, it's pretty much unprecedented at this point. There's been floor crossers in the past, but it's not been like this. Not so many. 3 conservatives, 1 NDP now. Obviously, something's happening. It's happening quick. This is the most since, I think, 1917, when there was a big conscription crisis during World War I. Right? There's something happening here. These are people, too, who just shortly before joining the Liberals were excoriating the Liberals and Mark Carney. Something is going on here. This is not normal, and especially in these circumstances where it's handing the Liberals a majority they didn't earn in the election. It's not what the Canadian people wanted, obviously. Let's see, Holly Doan. So she is a publisher, owner of Blacklock's Reporter, excellent news outlet in Canada, independent. first term NDP. Well, let's see. What do we got here? Arctic MP is government contractor. First term New Democrat MP is a federal supplier whose firm has been awarded almost $500,000 in contracts since her election in 2021. In a mandatory disclosure, said she was a major shareholder in a company with ties to an ex-liberal cabinet minister. I hold a significant ownership in this company. You don't say. You don't say. Corruption with liberals, huh? Corruption with leftists, huh? Who ever heard of such a thing? Let's see. Lori Goldstein. None of it, NDP MP Lori Idlout, September 1st, 25. What did she say then? Quote, they would rather dig for critical minerals than ensure Inuit have food to eat. I am disgusted by the Carney government's response to Nunavut. Huh. Not so disgusted after all, it turns out. Not so disgusted after all. Huh. What was she offered? Anyway, NDP interim leader Don Davies issued this statement. We're very disappointed that Lori Idlout has decided to join the Liberal caucus. The position of the New Democrats on floor crossings is longstanding and clear. We believe when someone rejects the decision of their electors and wants to join another party, they should put that decision to the voters. In a democracy, something as important as the choice of party representation in Parliament must always remain with our constituents. Hold on. We believe that should happen here. So have an election, a by-election. Not going to happen. Not going to happen because, well, the people would probably decide the wrong way again, and Carney wouldn't get his majority. So this is the absolute state of Canada. It's becoming a third world country. It is. It's becoming a banana republic. Holly down again. The Nunavut lawyer was first elected an MP on September 20th, 2021. In the first 2 years, her company Envision received $454,000 in federal contracts, including sole-sourced awards. Payment for Indigenous sensitivity courses offered to government employees were $324,000 public prosecution service, $24,800 RCMP Civilian Review and Complaints Commission, $39,800 Department of Natural Resources, $10,170 Department of Employment, almost $40,000 Department of Gender Equity, of course, even in Nunavut. $15,500 Department of Canadian Heritage. Welcome to the team, Lori. And watch this. It will make your stomach turn. Oh, I'll turn off the I can't play that actually. Can't play that. They probably put that music on knowing it'll get copyrighted so that people, but here they all are. Here they all welcome and just a big happy family. Big happy family. Look at this. And there's that was Don Tremont, another floor crosser. Look at this. Look at this. Big happy family there. Big happy family. Right? No more of the what was it? What was it again? Hold on. No more of the they would rather dig for critical minerals than ensure Inuit have food to eat. I am disgusted by the Carney government. No, she's not. She loves them. They're all just one big happy family. See? See, look at this. They're all hugging now. Hugging. Those awful people that she hated, that she was disgusted by. They're all best friends now. Just gross. Stomach turning. And just kind of unbelievable, I guess. Unbelievable. What's this here? The real Mr. Bench posted this. Lori Idlout said her decision to cross the floor was complicated. Separately, her son Robin Idlout was charged in December 2024 following a child exploitation investigation led by Nunavut RCMP and Winnipeg Police. His first court appearance was January 13th, 2025 in Winnipeg. Since then, there have been no clear public updates on the status of his case. Why? Why? Well, we know that the mainstream media is not going to ask that question, are they? They're not interested. They're just happy that Carney's got his majority. Yeah, I mean, this is, I don't know. What do you even say at this point? What do you even say? All right. Let's see. Denny, how you doing? Good to see you. Happy Wednesday. You people are scum. Just scum. Trudeau survivor. No, it was an accident. He's sleeping right by my feet right now. Okay? God damn it, you people. God damn you all.
You lousy corksuckers.
Let's see. Dramus says those 4 rats stole the votes of the voters. Yes, they did. They were bribed. They did it for their own benefit. I mean, you think of all the people who volunteered, who worked tirelessly for them, and they just, no, I can get more over here. More for me over here. It's gross. Ottawa James says, how can this stuff happen with no charges being pressed? Because it's perfectly legal. And in fact, the Conservatives voted against banning it, 20 years ago or something. So, it's perfectly legal in Canada because Canada's a joke. Canada's a joke. We had a good thing going for a while. And we will, I believe we will again. I believe that we will again. Steve Tollison says, gender inequity ranked above Canadian heritage money. Ridiculous and sad. Yes, it is. It's a joke. Canada needs to be, the fix for Canada is a new constitution. We need to have a constitutional crisis, right? We need a huge, massive supermajority conservative government with a conservative leader who's got the balls to actually do what needs to be done because we're sinking fast. And we need a new constitution that will to combat all of the activists in every single institution, including the judiciary at this point. That's the only fix. It's gone too far. All right. Let's go here. All right, so this is the BC poll. So, in terms of floor crossers, I think that maybe there's one way that Carney can end up being denied his majority is federal liberal MPs in British Columbia jumping ship to the Conservatives as more and more people in British Columbia realize what has been done to them by Mark Carney. Mark Carney specifically handing over essentially all of the Lower Mainland, Vancouver, we're talking about millions of people, handing Aboriginal title to the Musqueam Band. It's like 1,400 people, right? As people in this area start to see the value of their housing drop, because it will, there's no question. I mean, what sane person would like, if you want to move to British Columbia and you find out that you're not really going to own the land that you're on, you're going to be subject to the whims of this Musqueam Band. I mean, you'd have to be mad to buy in, right? You'd have to be mad. You're going to have people selling and just fleeing the province, getting what they can. There's going to be, I think, at some point, a panic buy-off, as a matter of fact. This is going to be catastrophic for BC. Right? This is going to destroy BC as like a first world place. It's insane. What Mark Carney has done is insane, right? This is what you do if you want to destroy a place, okay? Now, as people realize the consequences of this, what the consequences are going to be, and as they happen in front of them, okay, you're going to see right now this 47% for the Conservative Party of BC versus 39% for the NDP. You're going to see this widen and widen and widen. And as people realize how badly they've been betrayed. Now, the Conservative Party of Canada, the Conservative Party of British Columbia, it's frankly a bunch of liberals. Will they have what it takes to reverse all of this? I don't know. But what you might see is, and you're seeing Conservative, NDP, Green, other here, because there's no provincial Liberal Party, but we're not talking about the provincial party. We're talking about the federal Liberals that have seats in British Columbia for the federal party. You might see some of them flip. You might. Because, again, Mark Carney did this to them. Mark Carney did this to them. You would have to be, if you own a home in British Columbia, you'd have to be insane to vote for Mark Carney. Right? So he is going to become probably the most hated man in the province of all time, Mark Carney. I think this is going to happen as more and more people find out. I just have to assume it. I mean, what he did was truly insane, like just bafflingly insane. So I've got a feeling that the Liberals are not going to be very popular in British Columbia going forward, the federal Liberal Party. So maybe the Conservatives gain some back from the Liberals, maybe a bunch, as they realize their position is completely hopeless. Of course, Mark Carney will be able to bribe them. So who knows? But, it only take a couple. Maybe that's a ray of light, hope out of all of this. I mean, we're talking about unprecedented dysfunction and chaos in this country. I mean, certainly in British Columbia, it's just starting. It's going to get crazy here, in my opinion, as more and more people realize what's being done to them. And people realize, yeah, your home, it's not worth what you paid for it. It's not just a market correction, okay? It's not just a market correction. This is different. Right? I think you could have, how low could it drop? How low could it drop? They've just changed the game. They've just said, if you have property here, you don't really own it. You don't have full control. There's an Indian band who has a lot of control over your land now. And they might decide to start charging you, I don't know, property taxes. In fact, I think that's going to happen, isn't it? Whether they try and hide it in your local property taxes or not. A bunch of really bad things are going to happen. So, I don't know. I do know that the NDP, they have to be sunk. We're seeing this already. The media has been hiding this information from the public, but it's obviously starting to get out. I believe this will only get worse for them. And, yeah, we shall have to see. All right. Alberta independence. I know that Spambot's going to be enjoying this. Let's take a look. Mark Nixon, Professor Bruce Pardy perfectly executes Alberta independence sentiment. His speech is bang on. Let's take a look. And there's so much misinformation that's being spread about Alberta independence, about this movement. First and foremost, that they just want to be the 51st state. They want to be part of America. That's not true. They want to be genuinely independent, their own country. And it doesn't matter how much the CBC or Global or whoever lies about it. But let's take a look.
Resolution here. Do you agree that the province of Alberta should cease to be a part of Canada to become an independent state? Professor Bruce Pardy, you are arguing in favor of the motion. You have the floor for your 4-minute opening statement.
Okay, thank you, Harrison. I'm an Ontario boy. I was born there. I grew up there. I live there. I work there. I don't want to see Canada destroyed. But here's the problem. It has already been destroyed. Canada has become impoverished, dysfunctional, corrupted, and autocratic. Canada is broken, and it cannot be fixed. Powerful people in this country will not allow it. Alberta, to save itself and possibly save the country, Alberta must leave. And a lot of Albertans want out. Now, I don't pretend to speak on behalf of Albertans generally, but this group of Albertans I agree with. So I'm going to use the word we. We, because I agree with them. Now, maybe Canada was once a free and noble country. I'm not sure anymore. But it certainly is not one now. It's politically corrupt. Its institutions have been captured. It has become a leftist, woke, progressive, socialist country. Per capita, Canada is poorer than Alabama. It is almost as poor as Mississippi, the poorest state in America. And it has done that to itself. Canada's elites collaborate with foreign powers and global institutions. They sacrifice the interests of its people to plunder what remains of its prosperity. For a privileged class of public servants and private cartels, Canada has become a grift. The people are regulated, supervised, controlled, influenced, tracked, and surveilled, told what kinds of cars they must drive, how to carry their groceries, what medications they must take, how to speak, what to think, who to hire, taxed at work, at the store, at the pump, and in their homes. Canada is a managed society. Governments run the place. They have the people under their thumb. We don't want to live in this kind of country. We don't want to live in a progressive country. We don't want to share a country with Canadians who think all of this is okay. We reject their values. We reject their core beliefs. We want, above all else, to live in a country that is free. It's like being in an abusive marriage. We have irreconcilable differences. We do not love Canada anymore. We want a divorce. Over to you, Jason.
Wow. I mean, he really nailed it there, didn't he? That is the genuine sentiment that I'm hearing from Albertans. That is accurate. Because he's actually listening, right? He's actually listening, unlike every mainstream journalist, every talking head on the news every night. This guy, Bruce Party, he's actually listened to them. So, yeah, it's powerful stuff, and he's not wrong at all. I was watching the Olympic hockey game just a little while ago, and I was thinking to myself, I don't even really care. Like, I'm not invested in this anymore. Because what am I patriotic about exactly? Where what is this country? Right? Like, what is it that I'm supposed to be patriotic about? Am I supposed to be patriotic about sex changes, like medical experiments for children? Am I supposed to be patriotic about being shamed constantly for my identity? Am I supposed to be patriotic about a government that gives away my land, gives away title of my land? Am I supposed to be patriotic about that? Am I supposed to be patriotic for a country that tells me I'm a genocider? And the country is a genocider country with an ongoing genocide and infinite genocides? Am I supposed to be patriotic for this country that tells me it's not even a country, it's some post-national blob with no core identity? And our values are really just whatever anybody who shows up 15 minutes from now is. Am I supposed to be patriotic about that? Am I supposed to be patriotic about a government that passes so-called hate legislation to try and imprison me for accurately describing reality or financially destroy me? Is that what I'm supposed to be patriotic about? Am I supposed to be patriotic for our national institutions, our proud national institutions like the CBC, which seems to hate me? What am I supposed to be patriotic about exactly? I mean, our last prime minister was asking publicly if people like me should even be tolerated. And Carney doesn't seem to think much more of me either, or anybody that I respect. So what exactly, where is the elbows up exactly? What are the elbows up over? Yeah, it's sad. I mean, it saddens me that I listened to that and agreed with every single part of it. Canada is not Canada anymore. It's something else. It's become this progressive blob. This all-consuming, the government is this all-consuming progressive blob, which is constantly seeking out more and more power for itself. It's genuinely sad and tragic what's happened to this country. It's actually beyond belief. And I think that even going back 10 years ago, nobody would have believed what this country has become. I mean, you've got a prime minister giving away title to the third largest city in the country. And the media is telling us, oh, it's no big deal. They don't want to do anything with it. Really? Then why go through the whole thing in the first place? And by the way, there's already been a court decision on this from an activist judge that tells us explicitly that yes, they do want something. They want a lot. What a madhouse. What a madhouse. Let's see. I want to be patriotic for a country that hates me and wants to take away all of my rights. Okay. Yeah, that doesn't work. That doesn't work. I guess that makes me far right. Here. I guess that makes me far right and unpatriotic. Yeah. All right. Let's see. So we had that. Then we have Paulie. All right. Let's go back to the chat for a second. Hold on a sec. Hold on. Okay, I'm ready. Let's get chat. What's going on with the chat? Should I do an ad read? Why not? Let's see what's going on. Oh, here we go. Rumble wallet. Let's go. Here's a little inside scoop that many creators are talking about behind the scenes. It's actually one of the reasons that I'm using Rumble. They made a way to super chat creators so we get paid immediately and without any fees. YouTube and Twitch take up to 50% fees when you tip creators. This method takes none. That's right. The platform takes 0 fees. I keep nearly 100% of what you send me. You can send Super Chat with Bitcoin, Tether USD, or even Tether Gold stablecoins. The tip will show up directly on our Rumble chat, which I'll do my best to read. All you need to do is download the Rumble wallet on the App Store and send the tips to your favorite creators. Wallet.rumble.com. You can send to wallet.rumble.com, or you can download the app directly from the app stores. Seriously, what an amazing way to get rid of the middleman and help the creator economy. Shout out to Rumble for making this disruptive technology. All right, I didn't put my usual vim and vigor into that one because I'm just not feeling. I'm literally sweating just from talking during the stream. So, and also they need a copy editor on that, by the way, because that's why I'm tripping up on it. But anyway, still a beautifully written ad, beautiful product. What a wonderful thing. Let's see. Let's see. What are you guys talking about? I'm not going to go all the way down because, what are we, 2 hours in? JJ Nevada says, down here we got a saying, freedom isn't free. It turns out it's not. Let's see. Cal says, we're preserving Canada and taking it back. I think the thing that might turn the tide is the land claims thing and Carney handing over Vancouver. I mean, the media's radio silence on it. They are covering. If they do talk about it, they're lying about what it means. But that obviously it's having a huge impact in BC already, and I'm sure there's a large portion of British Columbians who have no idea still because it's being covered up by our local media. Interestingly, I've been going to realtor channels for like Vancouver real estate to see what they're saying about it. And you know what? They're not saying a fucking thing. They all know it. They all know it for sure because they know it's the apocalypse, right? They know they'll never sell another home again. But they're not saying anything about it. And that tells you more than if they were talking about it. They are avoiding it like the plague, which is really sleazy and dishonest, isn't it? Because this is not talk to somebody on those 800 acres on in Richmond about how it's worked out for their property, right? They know very well that this is the apocalypse, right? For them, they're not talking about it. They are not talking about it. Now, I assume that legally they're going to have to mention this to anybody who wants to buy a property, but they're not talking about it on their channels. They're talking about how the prices are all down and it's terrible, down 28%, but they're not talking about this in particular. And I think that tells you more than if they did talk about it, just how bad it is. What Canada needs is a new constitution. The 1982 constitution was a huge mistake. Charter of Rights and Freedoms is worthless. Literally, Section 1 says you've got all the rights listed below unless the government says you don't. That's a pretty literal reading of it. Cal says the globalists stole the rest. Alberta is Canada's way of life last stand. Well, they're going to be trying to push as many immigrants into Alberta as possible. I wouldn't be surprised if you see some sort of trick like they just give like mass citizenship to a bunch of brand new Canadians. I wouldn't be surprised at all. These are horrible people running, totally soulless people running the country. Let's see. Ottawa James says CBC blocked me when they took comments. Of course they did. They're publicly funded. Let's see. Rosie says the appearance of freedom. I'm afraid that's what we had all this time, was the appearance of freedom. And Canada was a free country. It was. But it was only the appearance of it, because it's been subverted so easily. We didn't have a First Amendment, a Second Amendment. You know, that's why we need a new constitution. Let's see. All right. Trudeau's driver says a poor carpenter blames his copy editor. Well, it's literally a script that you're supposed to read. So, excuse me. Let's see. Spambot says 2 of my BC customers are leaving BC and buying businesses here in Alberta. Yeah, I mean, I'm not at all surprised. Ottawa James says, oh, heck yeah, BC is going to go blue. The only problem is they're mostly just a bunch of liberals, right, that just went into the new Conservative Party. That's the problem. One BC, you know, Dallas Brody is really the only one who can really deliver. And, it's just her, basically. So, all right, hold on. Let's get on to what we're 2 hours and 8 minutes in. All right, I'm going to start fading if we don't get to the rest of the news. All right. So the state of Canada, it's just literally everything from trade to like land claims and crime and housing, immigration. It's just everything is totally dysfunctional in this country at this point. Juno News posted this. PM Mark Carney denies claims of 700 Iranian regime agents in Canada, noting 239 visas have been revoked, but only 1 removal has occurred. Let's take a look.
Le Premier ministre.
Hold on.
Le Premier ministre.
The Prime Minister flip-flopped 4 times on Iran, Mr. Speaker. But here, these flip-flops are even worse. The Liberal government is denying a report from Global News that says that there are 700 agents of the Iranian regime that are here in Canada. Yesterday, they admitted that 239 of them have had their visas withdrawn, but only 1 has been removed. So there are about 238 regime agents here in Canada. And when we see terrorist attacks against synagogues and elsewhere, we wonder, will the Prime Minister flip-flop again? Or will he explain to us how many agents of the Iranian government are here threatening Canadians? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This is a very serious situation. The government has already prevented 10,000 Revolutionary Guard members from this country. There are 170 investigations underway, and as the Minister of Public Safety just said, there are 28 that are currently being reviewed.
Great. So they're fixing the problem that they caused, but maybe they're not, because let's say Carney was for the Trump's action in Iran, and then he was against it. Then maybe we could help out. Then no, and then who knows? I mean, he just says anything. This is the last. This is since 2015, right? Let's see. Bruce McGonigal. Pierre Poilievre puts Mark Carney over a barrel when Carney says Canada is an exporter of oil, not an importer. Well, you know what, though? We do import energy, though, for some reason. Is it because we can't get a pipe? Is it because we can't get a pipeline across the damn country? Is that why? Let's see.
This is the way the G7 oil reserve works. If you're an importer, you have to have an oil reserve. If you're an exporter, which Canada is under this government, if you have record exports, which Canada is under this government, that is how you supply the world. I salute the work of the Minister of Natural Resource and the Minister of Finance, working with G7 counterparts, confirmed with my G7 leader counterparts today to release 400 million barrels from that strategic reserve to Canada.
Oh, well, this smug a-hole is telling us everything's great. I guess everything must be great.
To release 400 million barrels of oil from that strategic stockpile, how many of those are coming from Canada? Exactly zero. And the Prime Minister's excuse, the reason why we have no stockpiles, he says, is because we're a producer of oil. This is exactly the opposite of logic. The United States is a producer of oil. They have stockpiles. We have reserves, which the Prime Minister is successfully keeping in the ground. Just last week, we saw an $8 billion project canceled under his watch. We're importing gas from Australia. Why won't he get out of the way so we can produce our own energy?
Yeah, we're actually importing gas from Australia. Australia. That's pretty green, isn't it? I mean, you can't make it up. You cannot make it up. Okay, because we can't build a damn pipeline across the country. The East Coast has to import gas from Australia now. Australia. Make it make sense. It has to sail like under South America and all the way up. Make it make sense. It doesn't make sense. But let's see. Smug central banker here, Canadian Mr. Burns, tells us everything's fine, right? Everything's fine. Which, by the way, this is the Liberal Prime Minister, whether it was Trudeau or him, this has been the routine for over 10 years now. Just everything's broken, stand up and say it's actually great. And so far, that's been good enough for the Canadian people. Elbows up, everyone. Wow. All right. So regarding private property rights in Canada, which this is it's actually surreal how insane this is, right? So Mark Carney has now given up Aboriginal title to almost the entire lower mainland of BC. So that's Vancouver, Richmond. I mean, we're talking, it's millions of people, right? Vancouver's the third largest city in Canada. Mark Carney's just given Aboriginal title, which supersedes fee simple. Okay, so when you buy private property in Canada, you buy, with fee simple. You own it. You get to decide what happens on this land. Mark Carney has decided now you don't. For these areas, now you don't. How much of the rest of Canada is he going to do this for? All of it? Who knows? Mainstream media doesn't want to talk about it, so I guess they didn't hear. I guess they didn't do their research for some reason. Let's see. Jinglai Hay. Pierre Poilievre affirms his support for private property rights of British Columbians affected by the Ottawa-Musqueam deal and calls out the Liberals for failing to protect property rights of Canada. Based, he says, I mean, it's just sanity. What's happening in Canada is genuine lunacy. Like, this is economically a catastrophe. Mark Carney, the economic genius, has just fatally crippled British Columbia. The consequences of this are going to run very deep and they're going to be very devastating. And there is no way around that.
The Musqueam Rights Recognition Agreement, I think some of your MPs, including maybe Mr. Albus, have been pretty outspoken against this. I'm trying to understand your position on this because the government and the First Nation have both said that this is a rights recognition agreement that doesn't have anything to do with private property. So what's the issue?
So the Conservatives believe in private property rights. We are determined to protect property of legitimate Canadians who bought their homes under good faith and expected that their homes would be secure. And we think the Liberals failed to make the proper arguments before the court several years ago when the federal Attorney General decided to remove arguments that specifically defended the importance of fee simple property above all other claims. And in making that decision, they didn't defend property owners, and now a lot of British Columbians are concerned that their title might be in jeopardy. And it's up to the government now to show that they are taking every step to ensure private property is protected, that people's homes will always be theirs, and not only that their homes will be theirs, but they will be able to sell and buy homes into the future without any risk to the title of legitimate owners. Thank you.
Sorry, Pierre, you need a stronger response than that. They've given Aboriginal title to that land, okay? And the Cowichan decision, the Richmond decision, says explicitly that Aboriginal title supersedes fee simple, okay? We need something stronger from that. I mean, you've got the journalist here, obviously, trying to mislead the public again.
Muslim rights recognition agreement. I think some of your MPs, including maybe Mr. Albus, have been pretty outspoken against this. I'm trying to understand your position on this because the government and the First Nation have both said that this is a rights recognition agreement that doesn't have anything to do with private property. So what's the issue?
Well, see, here's the thing. Government says, oh, it's got nothing to do with it. No, it does. It clearly does. That has been made clear. They're supposed to be informing the public. And Pierre, I'm sorry, this is not good enough. Just not good enough. Okay, it needs to be stronger than this. We need reality at this point. I don't care if the media is going to call you a fearmonger. Okay, you're going to be proven right. Okay, if you're going to fearmonger, the fearmongering is going to be proven correct. We need more than this. This is not good enough. All right. And I'm not even going to read the rest of his. We're not even going to do the rest of his videos, quite frankly, because that's not good enough. That's not good enough right there. Let's see. What else have we got? All right. So here's a great breakdown of private property rights in BC and the uncertainty now surrounding them from Payman Ascari here. Let's take a look.
First Nations, they can't give their interest in their land to anyone but whom? The government.
Okay.
So all this business of, well, the government will come in and negotiate. This is what we hear of the Cowichan. I said, no, there's nothing in the case law that says that. They either have title or they don't. And if they have title, it's their land. All this business of, well, you'll just pay your taxes to a different. You get rights of occupation. Well, that's not indefeasible title. The federal minister and Musqueam have both said private property is not included. I want your listeners to hear me very carefully on this. That's not true. Okay? It's not true. The agreement, the map of the Musqueam territory includes Vancouver Harbor, Stanley Park, all like big hunk of West Vancouver. That's where I live. North Vancouver, the city of Vancouver, and there's a lot of private property involved there. There is no express exclusion in the agreement. Musqueam also said, well, it only includes federal lands. I want your listeners to hear me. That's not accurate. There is no delineation of.
All right. So, I mean, is the game here? Because yes, under law, they can only sell the land, the title, to the federal government. So Carney obviously already knew about this latest floor crosser before he handed over title to the Musqueam, right? So, and he's not an idiot, whatever else he is. I don't think that he's brilliant. I think he's a mediocre intellect, but he's smart enough to know that this is going to tank property values, right? Is the play just to buy this back, buy it back from them? But it's not going to be going, full title isn't going to be going to the landowners, the people who own the houses. That'll be the government now. So more central control, more central planning. Is that the goal here? Is that his play? I mean, look, he's getting his majority. There's nothing anybody can do about it. He can do literally whatever he wants now. Spambot says, look on the bright side, Richie. When the Liberals tax your house value above 1 million, it will be great thing for BC property values to tank. Yeah, but the government will decide what your property values are as well, right? So would anybody be surprised if they had people's houses valued at, I don't know, like a house that could get $500,000 on the market valued at $2 million to maximize the taxes out of you? I would not be surprised out of anything anymore at this point. I mean, I think we're run by just totally malignant, malign forces at this point. Anybody who's not paying attention to this is out of their minds. All right. Let's go to Bill C9 for more good news. More good news. So let's see. What do we got here? Hold on. Let's see. Hold on. What do we have here? Hold on. Let me redo this. There was something specifically I was looking for here, and I'm not seeing it. Where is it? Here we go. Aaron Gunn, Aaron Gunn, conservative MP. Horrible news. The Liberal government has just successfully censored their censorship bill by working with the separatist Bloc Québécois to end committee debate and ram the bill through Parliament. So, what does that mean? Well, I'm going to focus on one part of it here, which might be the most important part of it, which is the definition of hatred in the bill. The bill would create a definition for hatred for two of the existing hate propaganda offenses in Section 319, publicly inciting hatred, where it is likely to lead to a breach of the peace, and willfully promoting hatred, the emotion hatred. The definition would specify that hatred involves detestation or vilification and does not mean disdain or dislike. Are we looking at distinction without a difference here? We're looking at something so subjective it could mean anything to any activist judge. Let's actually go to the bill itself. So let's see. Hatred means the emotion that involves detestation or vilification, and that is stronger than disdain or dislike. So again, so this is just completely subjective and can just mean anything to any activist judge who decides to punish people on ideological grounds. And it's obviously written that way on purpose. Hatred. So we're making emotions illegal now, by the way. So, I mean, I guess the word Orwellian gets thrown around a lot these days. If anything's Orwellian, it's this. For greater certainty, the communication of a statement does not incite or promote hatred for the purposes of this section solely because it discredits, humiliates, hurts, or offends. So you can humiliate and offend, but you can't vilify. So obviously, this is just intended to be used arbitrarily by a tyrannical state. And I think it's as simple as that. This is so subjective, right? This is so subjective that you can easily have activist judges just saying, yeah, this one is vilifying, this one isn't. This one, just humiliates, depending on what side of the political spectrum it is. I think it's obviously written this way on purpose. It's obviously vague on purpose to be used as a political weapon. So that's great. Let's see. So symbols are going to be illegal. Symbols are hate. Let's see. And you'll notice here, there's one thing that's singled out, and I think this gives you a clue as to how this is going to be arbitrarily applied. Let's see. Everyone commits an offense who willfully promotes hatred against an identifiable group in display. And I bet you can guess the one identifiable group that's not going to be included in this, right? But in any case, a symbol that is principally used by or principally associated with a listed entity as defined in subsection blah blah, the Nazi Hakenkreuz, or the Nazi swastika, or the Nazi double sigrun, also known as SS bolts, a symbol that so nearly resembles a symbol. You can see here they've pointed out one thing specifically here, Nazi stuff, which there is not a Nazi problem in Canada, by the way. This isn't necessary. There is no Nazi problem in Canada, but they do this to make it clear that this is really about anything right-wing. Because, of course, anything that's one step to the right of the Liberal Party is far right, as the CBC, as Rosemary Barton's teleprompter is constantly reminding us. So yeah, I mean, it's all just obvious on its face. This is to punish dissidents against the progressive state, obviously. And this will be used arbitrarily. And they're making it clear in the bill that that's the case. So this is going to get rammed through. It's through second reading. It's going to go to the Senate next, which is 70%. I think it's 70% or 80% Trudeau appointees. So it's going to become law, and then it gets interesting in Canada. It gets very interesting in Canada now that they've got this new definition of hate. Right? This is to me is the most important part of the bill. The rest of it is kind of just cover to get this in. All right, let's go back to the chat. What are you guys talking about? Let's see. Trudeau survivor says a land rights recognition that has nothing to do with property, huh? Cognitive dissonance. I'm telling you, if the people don't hate the media after they find out what's going on, what's being done to them, nothing will make them hate them, right? Let's see. Ottawa James says biased reporter. Yes, it's a mainstream reporter in Canada, so biased. Let's see. Spambot says, I bought my house for less than $275,000. There is zero chance my house will ever be worth more than $400,000. Well, just wait until they start jamming in those immigrants that they want to turn into citizens. Maybe they'll have a thing where a special giveaway. Move to Alberta and you can become a citizen. Would anything surprise you at this point? Trudeau survivor says land and healthcare, two ways the Canadian government can subjugate citizens to their will. 100%. Yep. Ottawa James says either way we are screwed. It's going to get better one day. It will. All right, Rosie's out here. See you, Rosie. Have a good night. All right. Ottawa James says, I thought Vancouver had a conservative mayor. Not really. Not really. Let's see. I mean, he had no power over this anyway. So, he had no power over the land thing. All right. Nevada's out of here for his hot tub. Good night. Thanks for coming by. Spambot says BC has no real conservatives. Dallas Brody is the closest they have to conservative. Yes, it's true. Spambot is correct. Let's see. All right. Let's see. Billboard Chris. This woman at the UN tells me I'm sexist for saying that puberty blockers don't change a human's gonads. Her nephew now identifies as a girl and is being permanently harmed. I guess she thinks she's kind for affirming a lie. Woman at the UN. So the UN is probably it's probably the place that Billboard Chris is most needed, actually. Let's take a look.
Pardon me? Pro-child. I don't frame this as anti-trans because I don't believe there's such a thing as a transgender child. They're called girls and boys, and they're beautiful just as they are. They don't need drugs and scalpels to be their true selves. But society is pushing this false notion that just because they don't conform to stereotypes, that makes them transgender. It's kind of absurd.
Actually, I have a transgender niece. It wasn't about that. It was about how he felt as a human being, and he felt he was female.
Well, being female isn't a feeling.
Well,
it's an appreciation of who they are on the inside.
His gender or sexuality, I'm going to use the word felt, was female. And
well, so what does that mean, though? What does female mean?
Well, being a woman. He wanted to be a woman.
But that's not something you get to choose.
Actually,
because there's such a thing as biological reality in this world.
Biological reality is not black and white. There's a lot of gray.
Sure,
so
it is.
There's not just male and female based on genitalia. There is a lot of gray in the middle. There's people born with both.
Yeah.
So
was he born male?
He was born male.
So his body is designed to produce sperm, not eggs, right?
Yes, it is.
So therefore, he's male. Well, it still is.
I guess
he doesn't get to have a uterus and ovaries.
Biologically, he was born male, but after you take the proper medications, it changes who you are.
Do you know what these medications do?
Yes.
What do they do?
They change the body. They're hormones that change the body's structure. So if a male takes a testosterone blocker and more estrogen, he becomes more female in structure.
Well, his gonadal structure doesn't change. It doesn't become more female.
Absolutely.
And that's what determines our sex.
Grows breasts. And
he doesn't grow ovaries and a uterus and fallopian tubes.
Oh, that's right. You either make the egg or you feed
his chromosomes don't change.
Yeah, that sounds very...
He's still a man.
That sounds very sexist.
Well, I just don't understand what it is that makes him a woman. Can't explain it. Bye-bye.
I think a lot of these people are just stupid. Like, they're just morons. I mean, to just so willingly believe these fairy tales, it's just it's just beyond belief. I guess to actually confront, like to do any research on it, like what's actually happening to these people, these children, to do any research would make her feel sad. So it's better to just let this thing happen, these medical experiments happen. It's just, I don't know. It's really hard. The world wasn't like this not that long ago. It's hard to believe these people are walking around. I mean, I really overestimated the average human for a long time. I was wrong. I was wrong to do so. Dead wrong to do so. Oh, check this out. This is hilarious. All right. This is funny. All right. Spambot's fading. Hold on until you see this, Spambot. Developing, this non-athletic guy disguised himself as a woman to race against female athletes, and the results have left the internet divided. This is from Dom Luker. So we all know what's going to happen here, right? There is just an advantage. There's an advantage to being a large male running against a bunch of females, even if you're not an athletic guy, even if you're not training. Let's take a peek.
Johnny believes he could win a race against all women. So today, we have Johnny racing in a legit D1 track event. We're testing to see if he can smoke them all in a race, or if they'll make him look like a complete try-hard loser.
Hey, boys.
Yeah, bro, straight face just like that. You're good to go. Whose name are you going by? What's your girl name?
Sarah, my sister.
Sarah. Does she know that?
No.
She's going to be unhappy.
I stole her ID.
What makes you think that you're going to beat women? What? Sorry, that was a weird one.
I'm taller, so my strides are longer. I got heart.
Nothing about them?
Yeah, they're shorter. Their strides aren't longer. But I'm a bad bitch. And bad bitches be bad bitches. Hello. I'm here to get a sticker. Sarah Kern. 100 meter.
We don't even know what time Johnny's able to run. I just asked him what is the fastest time here and said that Johnny runs that. I think we're going to win every cheat except this one. Really? I got some clips of the women that you're racing, and I will say they look like athletes.
I am an athlete. I look like Thor.
You stand about 2 feet taller than
Yeah, I can get one of their numbers after.
Sarah Curran, that's us right here. Let's go. Bro, I don't know what's going to happen.
All right, ladies, please stand behind your blocks.
It's going.
On your marks.
Oh my God, he's lined up. Dude, I'm so excited.
Set.
Oh my God, they're going. Oh my God, dude, let's go. Come on, Sarah! He's dropped it. He's destroyed.
Good job, ladies.
100 meters, and it was Sarah Kern determined the winner.
Oh my God, Sarah won. Good job! Good job! Good job!
Give me a kiss. Kiss me.
Oh my God, Johnny just won. Okay, Johnny just beat some of the fastest women college track athletes in the country.
And we all knew it was going to happen. We all knew it was going to happen. Let me see if there's anything underneath this. Let's see. It's literally science. I mean, that's the thing. It kind of just is, isn't it? Let's see. For people curious to see the whole thing, here's the full video. Channel on YouTube called For Fun. I illegally cheated in sports. Why bother with hair, makeup, and feminine attire? Simply tell everyone he identifies as a woman. Problem solved. Yeah, they didn't really need to go through the bother, right? They really didn't. They could have just said, I'm strong woman, and that would have been good enough. Because it really is just how you feel, and you have to believe people's feelings. Let's say, what's this? 100 meter from Rio Olympics, women and Junior Olympics, 15 to 16-year-old boys. Let's see. What is this? Let's see. So here's the women. First place, 10.72. And for the boys, 10.61. So, yeah. 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 Rio Olympics women and Junior Olympics boys. Wow. Yeah, so we all know this. We all know this. And it's hilarious. But it's also kind of, a bummer for women that they have to compete against men that they have no chance against. So, yeah, there's that. All right. What have we got here? All right. So Basil the Great posted this. And here's GB News, which is the only, kind of right-wingish news there is, TV news there is in the UK. And it's the only place you'll hear any kind of sense about mass migration in the media there. Let's take a look.
And this is one of the points, because women in some of these countries like Iran, Luke, they are seen as less than. They're almost seen as property of chattel of men to do with whatever you choose. And this is the concern that many people have with these not so small boats, because when you import men from cultures where these men have grown up seeing women as less than, as commodities, as kind of things to do whatever you, basically like items to satisfy your sexual desires with, etc. When you see a woman in that way, you don't then suddenly get on a dinghy and change your whole world view when presented with a female in Britain.
Well, I mean, I think, just to echo what Michael said,
those women are incredibly brave, and if they return back to Iran, they would almost certainly face serious punishment. And I think at the heart of what's been going on, and people have strong views about whether or not the military action was the right thing to do, there's no denying that at the turn of this year, people campaigning, protesting against a totalitarian regime were murdered by their own government and rulers on the streets of Tehran. Now, one of the impacts, we've talked a little bit about the economic impact, but it's bound to be, if this action continues for a long time, we are going to see a rise in the number of asylum cases from Iran. And it's already one of the hotspot countries from people persecuted leaving Iran. Now,
but you're dodging my point about the. You're dodging my point, not slightly. You're dodging it massively. My point is the security of British women, because we all echo the sentiment that we wish these ladies well. We want the Iranian ladies to be safe and well and hopefully taken care of. But my point that you're trying to avoid is the fact that actually British women, our national security now is under threat, because you cannot be a man born and bred in a culture which disregards women and then literally get on a rubber dinghy and have a whole personality transplant.
I think we should be really careful not to. Look, we've always been an open, tolerant country for offering refuge for people who are genuine asylum seekers. Yeah. I also think we should be really careful that because you grew up in a totalitarian state means that you yourself, having a mum, having a sister, respecting women, that doesn't necessarily mean that you have that same ideology. And we've already seen in the brave people who protest.
Don't you think we need to be really careful, to quote your words, to actually protect British women, because we are seeing it time and time again. And by the way, we're not seeing the full extent of it. I don't believe that we've got full transparency as to everything that's going on with some of these men when they're coming into this country. I don't believe that information is being transparent at all. But I always find it quite interesting that the primary focus is on the well-being and the needs of these men, as opposed to the first priority of this government, our government, which is the safety of the citizens here, i.e. the women in this country.
I completely agree that
you always hear this, well, we've always been open to, we've always been welcoming to, what, so you have to be forever, like to the point of dysfunction, to the point of your own destruction, to the point of your own, losing your own culture, to the point of your own people being in danger. Like this argument makes no sense to me. It seems to be an argument for just weak-willed people who can't see past their own shadow, like this guy.
Any government's first responsibility is safe and secure borders and the protection of the UK population. But I think we also just need to be very careful that we are saying that all asylum seekers, because there have been some absolutely horrendous cases, that tars all asylum seekers with the same brush.
But I think she's just saying, let's think about this. Do we really need more? Because it was happening. What's happening there is in Iran, say, is happening in a culture that obviously does not have the same ideas about, female liberation and independence that they have in the UK, say. And before you open the floodgates, how many regime figures are you getting, for instance? How many IRGC are you getting, for instance? Right? How many of the oppressors are you getting? Because there's a lot of them there. A lot. Like 30% of the country, of a country of 70 million, 90 million people, is all for all that stuff, the stoning women to death and all of that. So I think that's what she's getting to. And do people eventually just get tired of listening to this? I mean, just the constant equivocation and apologetics all the time. It's just so beyond tedious. All right, let's get on to the last tab. There's the last tab. Hold on. Before we do that, we'll get to the chat for a second. JDL, how you doing, JDL? He says he's draft age in the Ukraine. Well, yeah, I think if you're under 70, you're draft age in the Ukraine. Let's see. All right, we lost spam bot. Let's see. Trudeau survivor says, I wanted his wig to fall off the guy pretending to be a lady in the race, a lady runner. Is that what you call them? Lady runners? Let's see. Trudeau survivor says, I bet an untrained guy would lose at a longer event, definitely the 5,000 meter, possibly even the 400 meter. Maybe. But that they would lose that they would win any event, though, tells you a lot. All right, let's get on to this last tab of the evening, and then I got to call it a night because I'm wiped out and I'm sick. Let's see. Dom Lucar, developing the Korean military has been getting criticized online from many other countries after this footage of their military hosting a dancer to boost their morale started going viral. Well, it looks like the lads are happy. They're having a great time. Leave them alone. Leave them alone. I mean, what? Why? I mean, these are guys who volunteered to put their lives in danger, right? To defend their country. Can you not let them have a little bit of fun? Like, it's like enjoying that is hard baked into their brains as it is into all male brains, whether they admit it or not, right? And look, this is not one of those channels. Okay, we like this sort of stuff, but this is not one of those channels that thinks all of a woman's value is tied up in her looks. We don't think that here at all. That's ridiculous. They also have organs. I mean, kidneys alone are worth a fortune. Why did I say that? What a terrible joke. What a terrible joke. Of course I don't believe that. Oh, I couldn't help it. It just occurred to me. I had to say it. And that's what you guys are here for. My terrible, terrible jokes. All right, let's move on. Apologies to all the lady Balonians out there. But it was right there. I had to take it. All right. By the way, if you're watching on YouTube right now, go to the new channel, the second channel, Radio Baloney News. This is where all the clips for the world news and the UK news and the US news and the woke mind virus stuff and the meme reviews and all of that stuff is going to be here. I'm even moving some of the Canadian news over to here now. I think soon, maybe this channel that you're watching right now will only be for live streams. So all of the wonderful informative clip videos that I tidy up nice and neat. So if you missed the live stream, you can watch them. They're all going on this one now. Please subscribe and help me out with that. Purple-haired gremlins will hate it. But I will like it, and you will like it too. All right. I'd also like the stream and subscribe and send me money and stuff as well. Do that. All right. What's this? Let's take a look here.
Next. Can you speak English?
Yes.
Name.
Willie Ben Chan.
6.
老外这么开放的吗? 3 to 4 times a week.
No. I mean male or female?
Male, female, sometimes animal.
Holy cow!
Cow, sheep, monkey too.
But isn't it hostile?
Horsey style, doggy style, or any style.
Oh dear!
No, they went too fast.
Shit!
That's not bad. Listen, you guys, I need you, any lurkers out there, I need you to do me a favor if you're watching on Rumble, is that I'm in this thing called the Rumble Creator Program, which is good for my channel, and I got to do a certain amount of hours of streaming every month, and I've got to do a certain amount of Rumble raids and stuff. One thing is you got to have a certain amount of unique chatters each month. I'm a couple away from it right now. So if you're just watching right now, and you're watching on your phone or something, it's nice and easy. Just type hi or something in just so you can count in. I feel anxious until I get over the threshold. I just need a couple of more. So just, I don't know, just say anything, say hi or whatever, or type a letter. Just type the letter, I don't know, B for baloney, and then press enter. And just help me out with that. It's very helpful for me, and I would appreciate it. Thank you very much. Let's see. What do we got here? So, ever get a scammer call saying there is a warrant out for your arrest? Someone is trying to sue you, etc. Never give out any information because they are trying to intimidate you into giving them the little details they need to scam you out of your money. Hey, Dramus, how you doing? All right. Thank you. Well, okay, but it's got to be people who, like, unique ones. So it's got to be people who haven't done it this month. It's got to be. I appreciate your guys' effort, but it's got to be people who haven't commented this month. So if you're watching and you haven't gotten into the chat this month, just go and just put in something. Just hi or put in the letter B or something. Hey, G Flood, good to see you. See, people are helping out. All right. Anyway, so the scammer called a cop. So let's see how this goes.
Can you verify me your home address?
No. So you hear that accent? It's a scam. So whatever it is, it's a scam. Whatever it is, and maybe it's your phone bill, whatever it is, it's a scam. It's a poll. No, it's a scam. They're getting money out of you. All right? Let's do it.
No, I will not.
I'm sorry?
No, I'm not going to give you my address. If you have my file on me, you should know what my address is.
Miss Stephens, you need to understand one thing over here, that I'm trying to cooperate with you on the recorded line, and even you need to cooperate with me. Recent mailing address?
My current address is 205 Saunders, Saunders Street in Apex, North Carolina.
Want me to read out the complete information to you about the allegations from which you can now. There are legal enforcement agencies involved in this case. So before we go ahead and give out the complete information to you, I need you to verify me with the last 4-digit number of your social security so I can confirm that the details are given to the right person.
I'm not going to confirm my social security number with you.
Ms. Stephens, I'm not asking you to confirm your social security number. What I'm asking you just to verify me with the last 4 digits of your social security so I can confirm that the details are given to the right person.
I'm not going to do that.
Social Security Administration and law enforcement agencies has found 25 fraudulent bank accounts opened and used fraudulently using your social security number to commit a fraud of more than $10 million. This account were used to transfer and receive funds for illegal local and international bank wire transfer include like money laundering, drug trafficking, and for internal revenue service, tax scams all over USA. I need to give them the details. So can you just tell me how many bank accounts do you own as per your knowledge and information?
I would like to just speak to your supervisor now, please.
And you told my officer that you want to speak to a senior officer, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, now go ahead and let me know how many bank accounts are originally owned by you, which has nothing to do with the illegal activities.
Well, if it has nothing to do with illegal activities, why do I have to give you tell you how many bank accounts I have?
See, if you do not tell me how many bank accounts you have, we'll go ahead and suspend all the bank accounts which are connected to your social security. Do not blame us if you lose any money. We are trying to help you out over here, okay?
Well, I just don't understand how giving you I would like to know what the allegations are against me and what you're going to take out a warrant for.
Right now, there are 2 criminal charges against you. Number 1, drug trafficking. And number 2, money laundering. Okay?
Well, that's better than the 25 the first guy told me were out against me. And they've hung up on me.
Thing is, they're not even smooth. Like, they're not even good. How does it ever work? It's so obviously fraud. It's so obviously I mean, immediately, as soon as you hear the accent, you know. I don't care what it is. But somebody calling to confirm a restaurant reservation, it's a scam. They're trying to get money, right? So, but they're so bad at it, is the thing. They're so terrible at it. All right, what's going on here? Did we lose Rosie? This was for Rosie. We'll save this one. She sent that in. We'll save that for Friday. What's that? We'll save that one. And that one, I don't think we need to get to. And what are we? We're 3 hours in. All right. You know what? There's nothing else that we can. Well, we can take a look at this. I don't remember this happening before 2021. Do you? We talked about this the other night, but no, like this sort of thing, if it had been happening all the time before, like this stuff all made the news. Anytime something like this would have happened, it would have made the news. You would have known about it.
This portion of CBS This Morning sponsored by Pfizer.
Good Morning America is brought to you by Pfizer.
CBS Health Watch sponsored by Pfizer.
Anderson Cooper 360. Brought to you by Pfizer.
ABC News Nightline. Brought to you by Pfizer. Making a difference. Brought to you by Pfizer.
CNN Tonight. Brought to you by Pfizer. Early Start. Brought to you by Pfizer. Friday night on Aaron Burnett Out Front. Brought to you by Pfizer.
This week with...
Yeah, it just kind of goes on. And in fact, this one here, hold on. This was a comedian making a joke about people who weren't jabbed. And then she fell over. She was bragging about how many boosters she had, I think. So, yeah. It was different. That was different. That wasn't just our imagination. That wasn't confirmation bias. There's something actually happened there. All right. You know what? I think that's it, you guys, for me. I think I'm done. I'm too tired now. I'm too tired. And I don't think we have to do any Rumble raids. I think we did the last one last time. So I think we're good. Let me just check the last bit of chat here. And then I think I gotta go to sleep, actually. Let's see. Ottawa James says Radio B has good live streams, folks. Follow and like it. Likey. What a wise man, Ottawa James says. What a wise man. Let's see. He's the best of us. Let's see. Send emojis too, Ottawa James says. Also the best of us. Let's see. JDL's going to win the Nigerian lottery. Fantastic. Let's see. JDL says, I need some Pfizer now. Well, you're not depressed, are you? Things will get better, JDL. Things will get better. Don't do anything drastic. G-Flood says, the fainting on TV seems to have stopped. I know, it's weird. It seemed to start and then stop at a certain event. Weird, right? Weird. Let's see. Trudeau Survivor says, them passing out is like watching the mind virus take control of the host. Yes. Trudeau Survivor says, Radio Baloney has good genes. So wise. What a wise man. Wise man. Best of us. The best of us. Let's see. Ottawa James says, yeah, don't get spam calls anymore. Private phone number. Ooh, that's a smart move. G Flood says good night. JDL says good night. All right, everybody. That's it. I'm all done. I want to thank you guys for showing up. If you guys didn't show up, I would be ranting and raving to a cold, indifferent universe, and that would be depressing. So thank you for being here for me to rant to. And if you keep coming back, I will keep ranting at you. I promise. All right, everyone. We'll see you Friday night, 7:30 Pacific time, 10:30 Eastern time. I'm sick. I'm going to go rest. Good night, everyone.